और फिजी इंडियन टीवी का साप्ताहिक प्रोग्राम में आप सबका हम स्वागत करते हैं। मैं परम शिवन
और हमेशा की तरह विश्वजीत भी आज आपके समक्ष में है
और मैं आप लोगों के साथ में नौजी जी।
It's been a wonderful week and this is episode number 63.
63?
63. Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you sure, really?
Yeah.
Last week was 62?
Yeah.
Guys, are you sure? I think it was 60. Last week 61, right, guys?
तुम sure it was 62 है?
तुम लोग जना एडवांस में चलता है। तुम अच्छा आपस में बात करो।
62
कितना
क्या बात है यार?
It's a शर्म।
विश्वजीत जी
पर डॉक्टर नहीं है ना, इसीलिए वो काउंट नहीं रख रहे हैं ना।
डॉक्टर जी नंबर 1 होते थे ना, you always point out,
yeah. So how's the week, ना जी?
मेरा वीक विश्वजीत very constructive यार। Week was good, लेकिन
61 guys, so it's 62.
62?
Yes. Not 60.
हम एक कदम आगे रहते हैं ना। Now I was talking about week was good, very constructive. लेकिन अब जब हम विंटर की ओर जा रहे हैं, I think there's few days of catching the sun. और वीकेंड एक ऐसा मौका मिलता है जहाँ पर we can actually get out. तो आज सुबह मैंने थोड़ा टाइम बिताया बाहर after my program.
सूरज की किरण
मैंने लिया।
पड़ रही थी। 2 लाख हम लोग बैठा रखे नहीं तो।
लेकिन what I miss is really Sunday को जैसे usually मैं golf खेलता हूँ and I go for my ride, motorbike ride.
हम लोग सब तुम्हारा जब्त कर दिया।
और I actually miss those things. Next Sunday को probably I'll go for my bike ride. Maybe before I come here.
अच्छा।
Can't you get your bike here?
I could actually, but I
easy and good guys.
तो मेरा बाल बिगड़ जाएगा यार बाइक में।
बाल बिगड़ जाएगा। टोपी लगा के ना हमारा काम।
नहीं है।
You have to have a helmet. There is a change room.
No, I can do that. But हड़बड़ी में नहीं, मोटर easy पड़ता है यार।
Well, it's been a wonderful week. A lot of things has been happening and is going to happen. दुनिया में जैसे जैसे होते रहेंगे, दिन आते रहेंगे। And समाचार क्या है आप लोगों से मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ।
Oh, देखा जाए we had the federal budget this last Tuesday.
अच्छा निकला कि नहीं?
Yeah, it's more for small business. I mean, obviously, Tony.
Yeah.
It's more. It's anything less than 20,000, you can straight away write it off and claim your.
सबको claim करें?
बिल्कुल. Anything less than $20,000.
After tax?
No, if you like. You can offset against your income, ना?
अगर next year profit बनाए तो offset.
But you have to buy some physical assets, ना? Any physical assets. और उसका कितना months का time है? उसका कुछ time भी है. I think
within a year.
Within a year?
Yeah, within a year.
I think it is a very good incentive for small businesses. But I think it's also to swell the economy as well.
Yeah, बिल्कुल. Because small businesses are the ones that pay taxes and employ people, ना?
So
the government department वो तो सरकार के पैसा खाते हैं ना. Big corporations they don't employ too many people basically. Small businesses is the people that employ people.
Yeah, it's true. उधर इंटरनेशनल सीन में देखा जाए जो उधर भूकंप का जो प्रकोप था उधर नेपाल में, उसमें I think the second भूकंप जो था उसमें I think 118 people have died.
Yeah. Again, yeah.
There was
वहीं पे?
Yeah, same place. I think it was on a Richter scale, probably 6 point something.
Yeah, 6.3 मेरे ख्याल से था.
6.3, but still they were in the recovery period. और फिर I think yesterday or day before yesterday वहाँ पर जो US का हेलीकॉप्टर था वो गिर गया while trying to तो 9 people died in that as well. तो उधर का हाल ऐसा है.
Oh well, it's sad news, but it's important though to pass it to the people out there, to include in your silent prayers. जो भी लोग आप करते हैं, याद करते हैं, वहाँ पे जितने भी लोग इससे पीड़ित थे, प्लीज डू प्रे फॉर देम. और यदि आप डोनेट कर रहे हैं तो टेलीविजन इत्यादि में तो बहुत सारे नंबर्स आते हैं, ये नंबर डायल कीजिएगा, या तो फिर कहीं ना कहीं चैरिटी इवेंट्स हो रही है.
I think there is on the internet there is an appeal going on. You can donate monetary funds, or वैसे you can also give whatever you can. There's clothes, soaps, whatever you can.
कुछ भी है.
And I think the Australian Red Cross is doing a fundraising as well. So you can. वैसे Australian government है जो उसने I think they've contributed $5 million towards the recovery fund. And I think they're also helping through giving their support through medical assistance as well.
बिल्कुल. देखा जाए तो अभी लोगों से ये दरख्वास्त करते हैं अब यहाँ टीवी की ओर से, Fiji Indian TV की ओर से, donate to Red Cross. I mean, it's a well-known organization, and they'll make sure the money goes there in the right place.
True. I mean, that's what people are concerned about, कि पैसा सही जगह पर इस्तेमाल होगा.
Yeah. I think every single cent will matter.
Yes.
If anyone can actually give $1 or $2 even. that will actually help as well.
Well, remind me towards the middle of the program to talk about something else regarding charity. अगर आप हमें remind करेंगे तो
Okay.
you will have to remind me the
Sure, I will.
charity word.
Charity.
Yes, we'll talk about that as well. Well, it's a very important day today because we are going to talk about what, guys?
Marriage of convenience.
शादी.
शादी.
शादी, the marriage of convenience. And if you're living abroad, खास तौर पर you must have heard this term. And उसके बारे में आज हम बातें करेंगे, कुछ पर्दाफाश करेंगे, and some laws and some things that people go through, और क्या है क्या नहीं, कुछ टिप्स भी दे सकते हैं. And it's a fun topic, and I think everybody at some stage would associate with this. And so last week feedback था कि it was a very hilarious episode, and comments do come from people, and thank you for those comments. Keep them coming because we can actually only perform better and do things. So some आपके अलग अलग फैंस बन चुके हैं ना, योर फैंस एंड हीज फॉलोअर्स एंड डॉग के फॉलोअर्स है. तो आज डॉग के फॉलोअर्स स्विच ऑफ कर दिया टीवी ना. डॉग नहीं, हम लोग नहीं देखेगा ज्यादा. डॉग डिलीट कास्ट देखेगा.
Hi Doc, if you're watching this segment, how are you? मेरे ख्याल से क्वींसलैंड सनी गोल्ड कोस्ट में घूम रहे हैं.
गोल्ड कोस्ट में तो शायद नहीं देखा, लेकिन मैं भी सोच रहा था.
के देखता है तो go into our Facebook and say thumbs up के अगर देखता है. अगर नहीं देखता then punishment है next week. 3-4 shares of कुंची बोले उसके chopsa is on you.
Chopsa is और the other thing, samosa
is on you. So, Achani, I miss the tea.
Yeah. Seriously, I miss Doc's tea.
Oh well, Doc, we miss you and your tea. Come home safe, and hopefully, when you're coming back, enjoy the trip back home. आज हम बातें करेंगे marriage of convenience, but other things are happening around the world, and it's episode number 62. We are going to play some songs, कुछ ऐसे ऐसे गीते बनाएंगे, but let's introduce the show. कि what are your thoughts? We'll go around this forum, and वैसे ही शुरू करेंगे.
आज इधर से शुरू करें फिर.
उधर से ही शुरू करेंगे. सीट खाली है ना? साहबजादे का.
जरूर. बहुत अच्छा टॉपिक आपने चुना है परम.
I actually chose. I said something else last week.
Yeah, you did.
And I changed it.
How did you change it? Why did you change it?
But ऐसे ही कभी-कभी होता है कि कभी उतराव कभी चढ़ाव होना चाहिए लहर की तरह. तो sometimes we have fun programs and हर हफ्ता and every week we cannot pump into people's mind all these things. तो कुछ variety होनी चाहिए.
I think the mix of things and topics is important. That's why I was very happy you brought something very controversial.
Last week we decided to talk on Satan. Yes,
Satan. Yeah,
we'll be talking on that. I think hilarious.
भूत प्रेत.
Yes, भूत प्रेत. टेढ़ा गोड़ के बारे में.
भूत प्रेत और ओझालों के बारे में भी बात करेंगे.
Yes, we'll be talking on that as well.
अच्छा, चलते हैं टॉपिक पर कुछ नज़र डालते हैं. जैसे आज का टॉपिक जो है कन्वीनियंस मैरिज, वैसे देखा जाता है कि बाय डेफिनेशन अगर देखा जाए तो वैसे मैरिज किया जाता है यूजुअली. उसमें किसी तरह का बेनिफिट, इधर पॉलिटिकल बेनिफिट होना चाहिए होता है यूजुअली, नहीं तो पर्सनल बेनिफिट होता है, नहीं तो फाइनेंशियल बेनिफिट होता है. सो इस चीज़ों को लेकर किसी व्यक्ति या दो व्यक्तियों का शादी होता है. उसमें कभी कभी क्या होता है कि और वैसे देखा जाए कभी कभी हम देखते हैं कि there is also a mutual partnership between groups as well. बड़ा बड़ा ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस जो होता है उसमें भी कन्वीनियंस मैरिजेस होता है.
बिल्कुल, बिजनेस टर्म्स
में होता है.
ओह अच्छा समझ गया.
और एक और तरह की होते हैं, उसमें पॉलिटिकल होता है, जहाँ पर पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स एक्चुअली गेट इन्वॉल्व. एंड व्हाई दे गेट इन्वॉल्व? बिकॉज दे ट्राई टू गेट इनटू द पॉलिटिकल renown, और फिर व्हाट दे ट्राई टू गेट इनटू द inside the secrets of actually government policies
versus CIA.
Exactly, ये होता है. लेकिन आमतौर पर हम देखा जाते हैं जो लेवल पे आज हम बात करेंगे यूजुअली वो बिटवीन मैरिजेस बिटवीन पीपल. तो इसमें जैसे मैंने कहा है कि either the marriage happens because it can be a consent from both people. It can be actually कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि एक पर्सन जो है इसमें वो जानता है वो क्या कर रहा है, उसके मोटिव्स क्या है, whereas the other person जो है वो अंधेरा में रहता है. ठीक है. और कभी कभी ऐसा होता है म्यूचुअल एग्रीमेंट भी होता है जिसे कोई किसी को हेल्प करना चाहता है. There are also marriages that are happening because of both people agreeing, where one person agrees to help the other person. तो तरह तरह की कन्वीनियंस मैरिज हो सकती है. इसमें क्या होता है, क्या असर होता है पीपल लोगों का, और क्यों पीपल डू दिस, इसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे. वो हियर फ्रॉम यू गाइस.
By the way, let's disclaim कि that is illegal. First of all, we're not here to preach.
Exactly. There is a way to do it actually.
Yes.
And we can talk about this as well.
अच्छा तरीका होगा, जायज है क्या?
There is a way to actually get around, because what people do is they actually get into the loopholes, na? They try to find a loophole.
You mean to say वो marriage of convenience कर सकते हैं क्या वाकई में?
नहीं, there is a right way to do it, but not.
How is it a right way, man?
How does any authorities or any people know that this is a marriage?
No, क्या होता है कि I'm not saying marriage of convenience is it's a right way, but what I'm saying, there are laws that you could actually have marriages to prove yourself that it is right. Now you can only prove yourself to actually get to where you want, right? You have to prove yourself.
सही.
So if you can't prove it,
तो देंगे नहीं ना वो थप्पा.
तो it's exactly वही बात हुआ.
अमेरिका में it's called green card, ना?
Green card, yeah.
Similarly, Canada as well called green card.
जैसे कोई की जगह पर इसको कहते हैं share marriages. Share marriages जैसे students बहुत इसको इस्तेमाल करते हैं. A lot of students do it.
A lot of Asian students do it. A lot of people from India.
A lot of people in India, yeah.
From Pakistan and Bangladesh and China.
Asia is big. Asia is very big. Asia is huge actually. वैसे हमारे South Pacific countries में भी ऐसे होता है. Fiji में भी होता है.
Whatever happens everywhere. But I suppose जहाँ पर डॉलर afford कर सकते हैं वहाँ पर.
Yeah.
So that's good. और कुछ आपके introduction में? That's it.
That's it for now.
See, what we can talk about, I mean, we'll highlight is basically the type of people involved with this. Why do people want to do this? And is the type of people, why people want to do it, and what are the benefits of.
But आपके विचार में क्या है विश्व जी? आप अपना विचार प्रकट कीजिए, बताइए कि आपके विचार में मैरिज ऑफ कन्वीनियंस है क्या? आपके दिमाग में जब हम ये बात करते हैं, इज इट हिलेरियस, इज इट सीरियस, इज इट ड्रामेटिक? आपके दिमाग में क्या आता है सबसे?
Basically, when I look at that, it is a drama. Basically, it's a drama. It is a drama. Like it's a falsifying marriage. Basically, that's what it is. Now, basically, what you're doing is you're paying people just to get into a country. Basically, अभी देखा जाए तो that's what mostly the benefit is, ना, just to get into a country.
Marriage celebrants and the marriage bureau जो लोग शादी इत्यादि करवाते हैं, कितने सोच रहे होंगे लड़के आज क्या बात कर रहे हैं हमारे बिजनेस.
जैसे वैसे देखा जाता है तो ऐसे है, एक कंट्री में एंट्री मारना है, सिटीजनशिप पाना है. उसके अलावा भी बहुत चीज़ होता है. जैसे जब लोग देखते हैं किसी के पास बहुत मॉनेटरी जन्स जैसे हम बोलते हैं, अभी कोई बहुत धनी है, जैसे हम फिजी में कभी जाते हैं, दिस इज वन थिंग दैट एक्चुअली स्टक टू माई माइंड व्हेन आई वाज एक्चुअली कमिंग हियर. तो फिजी में जब जाते हैं कभी कभी लोग हमसे बोलते हैं, भैया कोई धनी घर के लड़का रही तो बताना. यू नो देयर इज ways where people want to have monetary gains as well. और उसके अलावा भी अगर हम देखें तो जैसे अगर कोई पढ़ना चाहता है, someone wants to come to overseas
help people
and they want to get entry into the university. अगर आपके पास पैसा ना हो, but you are determined you want to study. जैसे मैं जब पढ़ने आया था, I spent $18,000 in 1 year. Wow. in New Zealand. That was my own hard-earned money. और मेरे पास था. जिन लोगों के पास नहीं है, they try to find ways where they can actually, if they can exploit it, because a lot of people go to internet to find ways where they can actually get to somewhere. तो marriage एक avenue है, because there is actually a visa, a closed visa, which is I think category 300 or something, prospective marriage visa or something. अच्छा. तो उसमें क्या होता है? I think it's a stolen visa. उसमें you can actually apply for that visa if you have found someone or have a boyfriend or someone you want to marry.
शादी करेंगे.
Yes, you were gonna.
एक साल का वो वीजा देंगे ना?
तो I think 9 months visa होता है, where you can actually apply. You can actually come to the country and you can travel back and forth as many times as you can.
It's a multiple visa basically.
So, but then there are actually things that you got to prove.
Yes.
And within granting that visa, you have a time limitation कि yes, शादी होगी, और शादी जब होगी भी तो जो the registrars होते हैं, जो immigration के people होते हैं, they go into doing the interviews and all that to making sure कि it's not a fraud.
Yes. Well, I think in the 80s, guys, after the post-coup, a lot of people in Fiji, खास तौर पर मैं बात कर रहे हैं, because I am actually aware of Fiji people as well as Bangladesh, Pakistani drivers that were here around the 80s and mid-80s. There was an influx of people in this country, and जब खास तौर पर Fiji में जब coup हुई थी, a lot of people wanted to get out of the country. Somehow कि किस तरह से हम अपने देश को यहाँ से निकले, कि ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है. कुछ लोग political asylum seek किए, कुछ लोग refugee status में apply किए, और कुछ लोग that didn't have that. I don't remember. I don't know if you can recall the tax file number. When did it come into effect?
Tax file number started coming 90s, maybe. It's 93, 91, 90. Yeah, something early 90s.
Because prior to that, people could actually work, and you didn't need a tax file number. See, and I think in the mid 90s or early 90s, they started tax file number system. अगर आपके पास tax file number है, तो आपको काम पे लिया जाएगा. And बहुत सारी films भी बनी हैं, खास तौर पर not just happens here, UK में बहुत हुई हैं, and there's some films actually made out there. And similarly, I wrote a script as well regarding around marriage of convenience as well.
All right.
And incidentally, it didn't take it into its effect because.
ये कौन movie था पर?
प्यार या PR. The title was a प्यार या PR, no? कि प्यार करो या तो PR करो. तो is it fake or is it true? And लोग fake marriages करते हैं कुछ लोग ना, कि प्यार करते हैं वाकई में कि क्या PR के लिए करते हैं. और जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया एंड न्यूजीलैंड जैसे permanent residents.
Yeah.
Even in Canada, a lot of people.
जैसे कहते हैं कि is it love or love for the foreigner?
Yes. प्यार या तो पाप. So we'll touch a bit on that. It's a bit of a comedy side. We'll touch on that as well. And UK में they also say permanent resident, but I think green card is in America and Canada भी ना.
Canada is permanent
green
residence.
Card I think is American.
Is only American.
Green
card is American.
And it has been exploited to a very high level. उसको भी जैसे कहते हैं sham marriage कहते हैं उनको.
Well, हम कुछ तरकीब उसका पर्दाफाश करेंगे और कोशिश करेंगे कि आप जो लोग इस संबंध में हैं और जो लोग करना चाहते हैं, हम तो ये कहेंगे कि डोंट डू इट बिकॉज इट्स इलीगल. फर्स्टली अगर किसी ने डॉप कर दिया आपको तो it's a waste and you lost money. It is not like the mid 80s and 50s when the laws were a little bit easier
and flexible. I mean, it was flexible laws.
अब जैसे देखा जाए कोई चीज परम जी, कभी-कभी इमोशनली जो थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज में जो पीपल होते हैं, उसका जो इमोशंस और उसका जो रहन सहन देखकर यूजुअली जो फॉरेनर्स होते हैं, जैसे अभी कोई ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, तो दे फील सॉरी, तो बोलते हैं कि अगर इस व्यक्ति को हम मदद कर दें तो हिज फ्यूचर विल बी डन, राइट. तो क्या करते हैं, दे एक्चुअली गो अहेड and have marriage of convenience to help them. Sometimes there is also a monetary gain, जहाँ पर they receive the money in return. Sometimes they don't. Some people genuinely go out of their way to help these people, and then
genuinely झूठ बोलते हैं law से.
हाँ, exactly.
I mean, it's very true because when Param touched the basis that after coup, I mean, a lot of families who were in overseas
trying to get out of it, no?
Actually did really help most of the families to come abroad, and this is one of the things.
And look,
and what was the easiest avenue to get people out of the country was the marriage of convenience. Basically, this is सबसे easy, that was the easy.
जब पकड़ा नहीं जाते हो तब तो ठीक है, चल जाता है. because क्या होता है, प्रॉब्लम कब होता है इनफैक्ट मैरिज ऑफ कन्वीनियंस में, जब मैरिज ब्रेक हो जाता है. अगर दोनों पार्टी का राजी नहीं है, दोनों पार्टी अगर नहीं राजी है, बिकॉज समटाइम्स व्हेन इट हैपेंस there is a mutual agreement कि once you come here we'll actually divorce. This is why some of the countries have a law now. I think it's probably in Australia as well, but I know in Canada, where after the marriage you have to live with the person for 2 years.
It's
here as well, right?
So you don't get a permanent residence.
Well, you don't
straight
have
away
to live for 2 years. No, you don't have to.
You do.
No, you don't really have to live for 2 years. कानूनी तौर पर आपको रहना है, लेकिन there is other circumstances. We'll talk about it later because I've heard about a lot of things here. Some people have actually been in this situation. वाकई उन्होंने प्यार के लिए नहीं, PR के लिए उन्होंने
प्यार
की, प्यार नहीं PR के लिए। तो किस तरह से वो करते हैं, किस तरह से नहीं करते हैं, किस तरह इंफॉर्मेशन निकलती है, और गवर्नमेंट की रिस्पॉन्स क्या है, किस तरह से वो थप्पा देते हैं और किस तरह से उसको डिपोर्ट करते हैं। So there's a few things happening around here. A lot of countries like Philippines and Thailand and all these, Asian poor countries. So we'll move ahead, guys.
Sure.
And we'll come back. So that was a brief introduction कि marriage of convenience क्या है. अगर आपके पास कोई thought है, if you're watching these programs, and I know some people are, go into Facebook and any of our friends who are actually watching, Noji or Param or जीत के साइट पे जाके वहाँ पे आप टाइप कर सकते हैं, information दे सकते हैं. So we'll take a little break and we'll come with more on PR. जी हाँ, www.zura.com.au, और कपड़े जो नोजी डिज़ाइन कर रहे हैं आप वहाँ से जाकर प्राप्त कर सकते हैं, बिल्कुल बहुत ही महंगे दामे पर डिस्काउंट दिया जाता है।
आपको कपड़े पहनकर आना चाहिए, देन कैन एडवर्टाइज ना, लाइक टी-शर्ट्स वगैरह
लोग देख सकते हैं कि आपकी
पीपल कैन सी एंड से
बॉडी में।
जरूर, मैं सोच रहा था कि आई शुड गिव यू ऑल अ टी-शर्ट ऑफ Zura and you should all wear the same design. क्योंकि हमारा जो कपड़ा है Zura.com जो डिज़ाइन कर रही है, usually most of them the gym clothes, but ऐसे कुछ winter clothes भी है, जैसे जैकेट्स है और hoodies है, उनको शायद विंटर में हम पहनेंगे, लेकिन वैसे some of the clothes which is not appropriate for the scene probably, and that's why I usually don't. There is some polo shirts which we could wear. I think it will be a good advertisement for Zura.
Well, do promote, because it's a Fiji Indian incentive by Mr. Noji Kumar.
All the way from LA.
All the way from LA.
Definitely.
All the way from Limbata.
The LA boy.
The LA boy, yeah. It's good. I mean, it's good to see our own people are doing things. It's great.
Thank you.
और नोजी जी, हम ये देख रहे हैं कि आप नुमाइश कर रहे हैं, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, हर शनिवार की रात ये नुमाइश करते हैं, या हफ्ते में 1-2 बार ये नुमाइश करते हैं, वो प्लेटा। यार क्या मस्त है वो फूड का प्लेटा जो डालते हैं ना। क्या है चिपका हुआ लड़का यार, छोड़ के मस्त है
फूड का ना।
Do you cook?
और Saturday food का प्लेटा was 10 minutes यार।
10 minutes? Was it lamb or beef?
I said that lamb. 10 minutes, yeah.
Lamb, no?
I said 10 minutes.
Literally 10 minutes था या?
No, it was because it just put it up on there.
अच्छा, लंबा bean है, long bean है?
Yeah, long
क्या French bean?
I think it's
actually देख के ना
I think it's long bean. Yeah.
आपके बोला देख के मैंने lamb खरीदा, cutlets था कि वो लिया, bean लिया मैंने, but frozen लिया है, and I didn't get the mushrooms though.
All right.
So I'll try this weekend. I'll tell you, bro.
मैं जब बनाया तो जब मैं वेजिटेबल्स बनाया तो वेजिटेबल्स के साथ में मैंने कुछ चिलीज काटा और अनियंस और गार्लिक, तो जब उसको मैंने थोड़ा देर में पैन में नहीं।
Listen, hang on. You've got a knife on. Why don't you record it?
I could actually do that.
Just put it as a little segment on Fiji.
What had happened actually, जब मैं गार्लिक और चिली उसमें थोड़ा देर घुमाया तो मेरे घर में जितने लोग आए भी थे सब खांसने लगे। इसलिए क्या हुआ ना, that is how I like my garlic and chilies. So it actually makes it very spicy as well, and it tastes really tasteful.
Oh, that's
so
good.
It was a very short meal but very healthy, as you could see. So I usually put those things on Instagram or a Zura Facebook page.
videos हैं?
Usually they have photos.
Guys like me, I'd like to see, you know, कि किस तरह से preparations होती है.
जरूर. I will probably do that as well.
Just an iPhone, you know. Hey, this is Noji here. You know?
Yeah, sure.
Or you can just put an iPhone on a stick and actually record it. It's very simple.
Yeah.
And बाद में I'll teach you all the techniques of editing.
Yeah, sure.
Well, guys, we are talking about marriage of convenience, यानी कि नाजायज जो विवाह करते हैं जो लोग
गुड
और शादी करते हैं, तो उसके बारे में बातें कर रहे हैं. तो some of you would have probably gone into this situation and paid money. I have been offered money as well, and I think the last offer I had was $25,000. चीन से एक लड़की है, एंड अगर आप रिश्ता कायम करना चाहते हैं तो भी कर सकते हैं. मैंने बोला यार ये सब चक्कर में मुझे नहीं पड़नी है. खामोखा ये जो प्रॉपर्टी वगैरह जो हमारे पास जो कुछ पैसे वो भी चले
जाएगी.
लेकिन एक्चुअली you can make prenuptial agreements.
Prenuptial आप चल कुछ नहीं गटे काट के चलते बनी है सब.
जरूर. Why would you wanna get into something like that when it's hard to actually come out? जैसे हम एक और छोड़ दिए थे मुद्दा उसमें था जैसे कि कोई लोग जो होते हैं they do actually convenience marriage because they actually want to hide their identity. जैसे को homosexuality जैसे होता है, वैसे अगर कोई है तो पब्लिक में नहीं आना चाहता है कि you know I am this. So what they do, they also have a marriage which is with another man or woman, which is a mutual agreement only to show the world that you know I'm not. So you can be a guy or a lesbian, but you just hide the identity. So you go and get married to someone else who's also happy to get married to you on the side, but you don't have any emotional relationship.
I think I think the immigration laws are coming into effect for same-sex
marriages, no?
And they can apply for residentially. हो गया है?
You can, yes. According to Australian immigration laws, I think you can actually do that.
वरना उन लोगों को किस तरह से वो लोग इंटरव्यू करते होंगे.
True. Actually, interviews are very thorough. जो इंटरव्यूज होता है मुझे 21 तारीख में पढ़ रहा था, उसमें जो इंटरव्यूज होता था, जो रजिस्ट्रार जाकर इंटरव्यू लेता है, तो जो ब्राइड ग्रूम, तो जो ग्रूम था वो लास्ट मिनट में उसका अपना जो इसका नाम भुला गया यार. So they got it straight away, it's a scam. And so they were actually fined, I think, I don't know, $20,000-$30,000, and they were actually jailed, both of them. They were jailed for I think 5 years. So अगर ऐसा कुछ करना भी है आपको तो एटलीस्ट नाम ख्याल कीजिए भाई.
2-3 बार सोचना होगा.
There are some people that actually are involved into this racket बोलते हैं ना. वो लोग क्या करते हैं कि supposedly आपसे 50,000 लिया, और आबादी इंडिया और एशिया की इतनी बड़ी है कि जो धनी घर से है, जो those who are wealthy can afford $50,000. तो ये अपना कट लेते हैं ना, 10,000 का कट ले लेते हैं इसमें. तो वो क्या करते, फुली प्रिपरेशन करते कि आपको यहाँ जाना है, ये करना है, वो करनी है. यू हैव टू एक्चुअली पूरा वो स्कीमेटिक बनाते हैं ना कि किस तरह से हम दिखा सकते हैं कि हम इस तरह से शादी किए हुए हैं, हमारे पास ये सब चैट्स हैं, हमारे पास ये फोन डील्स हैं, इत्यादि. सो पीपल आते हैं,
they will give you all the requirements that
पूरा पैकेज देंगे
आपको सिखाएंगे. जैसे व्यक्ति के बारे में जो मैं बात कर रहा था अभी, इसने जब इस नाम भुला गया, he was actually calling his agent like the middleman. Right? That's when they caught him. So they caught him and they found the guy who was actually involved, the guy in the middle. जैसे हम देखते हैं कि जैसे Indian students जो होते हैं यहाँ पर आने के लिए, they don't actually know all those things. लेकिन यहाँ पे जो middlemen होते हैं, who actually know the loopholes of the immigration laws and the government laws, they exploit it. They take it overseas. They tell them how to apply, what to do. तो इंडिया में जैसे क्या होता था, जो यूनिवर्सिटीज यहाँ पर थे वहाँ पर, because इंडिया में देखिए एक बात है, to prove a marriage is very hard in India because यहाँ पर जो local laws, हमारा जो laws है यहाँ पर, you know, you have to show things like, you know, you had conversations, you had legal marriage. But इंडिया में जैसे बहुत कुछ arrange होता है ना, तो what are you gonna show? So for the foreign governments, जैसे Australia है, it was very hard for them to prove कि this student who was coming, oh, it's a fake marriage. You know, so the other thing what was happening is जो students वहाँ से आ रहे हैं, when they tried to apply for visas, for student visas as a single person, they couldn't get through because they were single. Because the government looks that as a liability कि अगर कोई यहाँ पर आ गया, single है, would he go back? If he doesn't go back, he becomes a burden of the government,
the country.
And then the other thing Australian government was doing is they were actually providing allowance for students or for single people or students. So to take advantage, a lot of foreign students would get married here, which would be a fake marriage, to get the allowance. So the other thing was happening is India में जैसे मैंने कहा कि जो scam marriages होता था, उसमें क्या होता था, they would then when they found कि single, it's very hard to get single visa, they would get a fake marriage there and they will come here. अगर बीवी या जो उसका पति है वो नहीं आया, एक जन आया यहाँ पर, the chances of bringing the other person is very easy then. Or the other thing is, once you study here, you get a job or you find a job, it's very easy to get the other person as well. So that was actually a loophole that was happening for years until someone through the authorities intervened and found the culprit who was actually the middleman. He was one of the Australians, probably Knight or something named under that. So they were caught.
अभी क्या होता है? I mean, as you're saying, you're right. I mean, what's happening now is all these students are actually coming through on a student visa. Basically, they have changed the goalposts now. What you have to do is आपको पढ़ना होगा यहाँ पे. You have to find a good job, then you apply for your permanent residency. Basically, I mean, if you find someone to get married, then you got to go back. Back home, and then because you can't apply from here anymore.
Unless pregnant,
unless a different situations different होता है ना. So they have actually changed all those things now.
लेकिन विश्वजीत जी, अगर एक foreign students यहाँ पर आया है या एक व्यक्ति यहाँ पर आया है, and if they have actually they fallen in love with someone, right, and that person actually says, I'm because कभी-कभी ऐसा भी होता है, देखो जैसे एक genuinely they fall in love, ठीक है,
but क्या है PR के PR,
वही तो बात है. To identify that is one thing. जैसे अगर दो शुरू में अगर कोई फेक करता है तो ऐसे फेक करेगा कि never caught ना. जैसे एक केस में पढ़ता रहा, एक लड़की थी, she was a nurse here, she actually found a boy who was actually from Middle East somewhere, and she actually helped that boy to come here, and he came here 3 times, 3 बार आया, और he seemed very genuine, बहुत shy था, everything. So उनको सभी तरह से उन्होंने हेल्प किया, and he came here. तो बाद में क्या हुआ, वायलेंस शुरू हो गया, और वायलेंस के बाद में फिर he was going to work, but he was not telling her that he's actually getting money from the bosses. So he was getting money, not paying taxes, and he was lying. And then तो लड़की ने क्या किया, because उतना उसको मार सहते she decided to go to her parents. She couldn't have her own way in her own country. So वो देख रही थी कि ये उसको जाकर लाता है फिर कि नहीं. Then she would know it is genuine or not.
Okay.
And he never bothered to bring her back.
But उसका वो वीजा मिल गया था.
तो यही तो प्रॉब्लम था कि उसको वीजा मिल गया था. Once you get the visa, it's very hard to actually remove those people from, because what happens is if you go and complain, you are reluctant to complain because you are part of it, right? You have helped someone. How do you defend yourself? Ki,
otherwise charged, na?
You'll be charged as well for the penalties that you have partaken or you have participated in it. It becomes an offense on your part as well.
True.
So जो लोग इसमें हाल जाते हैं, that's why I said विश्वजीत, जो लोग इसमें हाल जाते हैं एक बार, to get out is very hard, because where would you draw your line then? But कभी-कभी ऐसा भी होता है जो लोग genuinely नहीं, जैसे हम देखते हैं कुछ स्टूडेंट्स जब यहाँ पर आते हैं, they do try to actually find someone to get married before they go. Yeah, they do try to.
पास में एक थोड़ी ना.
No.
उसके स्कैम में लोग हो जाते हैं, they fall in love, girls fall in love, and then बाद में पता चलता है कि इसने क्यों शादी किया, और रहने के लिए. I know a person actually who did this. He was actually from India, from I think Punjab, and he did that. Treated the girl very nicely in the beginning. फिर जैसे वो शादी हो गया, he is always in the nightclub. Always in the nightclub. लड़की घर पर चुपचाप. How long could you tolerate something like that? It becomes very hard.
On that subject, I'd like to ask you, because it happens a lot in Sydney, by the way. I don't know any other places.
Sure.
Sydney and New Zealand
is big. Auckland is big.
So I'm not targeting anybody in particular, but overseas, let's take overseas students for example. वो जब विदेश में आते हैं कुछ ना कुछ करने के लिए, तो वो एक कहानी बनाते हैं। और ख़ास तौर पर अनफॉर्चुनेटली लॉट ऑफ आवर फिजी इंडियंस आर इन्वॉल्व्ड ऑन दिस ना, क्योंकि अगर मैरिज ब्रेक हो गई या तो फिर कोई सिंगल लड़की है तो उसको अच्छी तरह से अगर आप बात करोगे, उसको you do all those things that a normal Fiji Indian probably would do, and to some extent they would be subject to the effect that he's putting on you.
Of course.
तो काफ़ी ऐसे लोग हैं that do things around here in Sydney, and I've heard and I've seen a lot of people doing it.
It is a big time thing. It's
still happening, yes.
It became a culture kind of thing, because when others they become successful in this, they go and tell their stories to their own other friends who are in the pipeline of doing or coming and doing the same thing as well. So when that story goes on, they know it is possible to do it.
But once again, and the other part to it is also some people have actually married and lived happily. And to some reasons they have fallen apart and the marriage is dispersed.
So many times the marriage recurrence happens, but the other person, the party, doesn't really know the truth. Because what happens, they actually do go ahead and live nicely.
Achha, tell me a scenario. I'll put a scenario to you guys, because you two, that supposedly you're a citizen, you're single, and you're a single as well, but sir, आप you're a good person. जो भी आप करने अपन नॉर्मल ड्यूटीज में कर रहे हैं अपने स्टेटस के हिसाब से, अगर आप इंडिया की जो लड़की, इंडियन लड़की को आप पसंद करते हैं, you met someone, what will be your immediate thought? You're single, and she's attractive. What will be your immediate thought? When we found out कि visa नहीं है उसके पास, in 3 months she'll be going back, and you would like to pursue and get together and do something about it. What would be your thoughts?
I think
immediate thoughts.
Well, immediate thought. जैसे मैंने कहा था, I would also think it can be a scam. She probably is faking. Because of the things that are happening around us. That's how we perceive things, because of the things that defines us, right? And the decisions that we make in our life surrounds is what our environment is about, what is happening around us. That's how we think and we take instances in life. Again, I know that for the fact my intuition is very strong. I would very easily pick up person is faking.
चलो, अगर आपसे प्यार हो गया है ना लड़की से,
अगर मुझसे प्यार हो गया है, that's different. I will try to do everything to keep the relationship. Of course, and I will go to any strengths.
It'll probably be genuine, for example.
Yeah. Lekin, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it becomes
Would you make a prenuptial?
I would actually, knowing what I got.
Of course,
because I think it's very important, because in this time and world, you don't know what's going to happen. Especially if you have made yourself, you've worked hard. Like I've really worked hard in the last 10-15 years. I've really worked hard.
So you can include super and everything in prenuptial.
Everything
all
you
assets.
All assets. Everything you own is by.
And supposedly you still made a prenuptial, and for example, you've died or something like that, and your next
beneficiary
is her.
You can actually nominate when you're meaning prenuptial.
You can nominate.
You can have beneficiaries. Yeah, beneficiaries
but
of
immediate to wife na claim karegi na.
Not necessary.
Not
you
necessary.
Not necessary.
Not
it's
necessary.
the benefit.
I think who you nominate.
Yeah.
But yes, I
it's
think
an amazing thing, this prenuptial thing, na.
But having said that, दूसरा चीज ये है कि they actually can contest your will.
ये लोग भी अजीब है यार.
जैसे बहुत लोग ट्रस्ट बनाते हैं ना. I have a trust as well. ट्रस्ट में आजकल पावर्स इतना गवर्नमेंट के पास हो गया है कि they can actually get into your trust as well.
अच्छा.
Yep. The trust is something which was before. No one could touch the trust because anyone can enter your trust. The government has the powers. The court has the powers to actually exploit your trust and whatever, because if you say you don't have anything, if you put everything under the trust, you don't have anything to declare. And a lot of people were doing that.
Yeah.
So that loophole has been closed, where if you have any assets in your trust, it can be touched. So it's not safe.
The most important thing I think about today's topic is because the question came about to me from someone after studying some various effects happening on Facebook, social sites वगैरह में. I mean, once again, disclaimer ये है कि I'm not actually pinpointing anybody or saying anything, but खास पर Asian countries से ही लोग आप दोस्त बनेंगे, आपका दोस्त बनेंगे, और फिर आपका जो ट्रस्ट है वो जीतने की कोशिश करेंगे, आपसे पूछेंगे क्या कर रहे, क्या करने, they'll be good to you and they'll try to win your trust किस तरह से, and then they'll try to actually embroil you into this sort of a situation. तो बहुत सारे लोग हैं, you know, that are watching this program. Probably one of our friends actually is watching for the first time. Ashish, hello Ashish, and Vinod is actually watching this program and he's actually commented on as well. कि a very important comment मैं देखना चाहता हूँ. He said it has advantages. Well, sometimes marriage of convenience ends up in a marriage for life.
True. That is right. कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है ना. Yeah. Sometimes both parties mutually start liking each other.
जैसे the motivation has to be there. जैसे for example, when someone wants to settle here, not always they are settling here for, जैसे मैंने बोला था कि you have to assess it, right? Or if they want to actually generate a family and love and faith, then of course there is a way to go. ठीक है? Because when you have a focus about family and love, the whole perspective of the convenience marriage changes. Although the motivation in the first place was to actually get the visa, but because of knowing that someone has helped them, they were genuine as well. लेकिन इसमें मार कौन खाता है जानते हो? जो लोग genuinely किसी को लव करते हैं, right? वो लोग बैठ कर अगोरते हैं 5 साल हो गया, 6 साल हो गया, 6 महीना हो गया, कुछ नहीं होता है, क्योंकि कुछ ऐसे लोग हैं जो आकर जो भाव है, जो उसका जो रेगुलेशंस है उसको बिगाड़ते हैं. इसके कारण the other people who are actually genuinely loving and they want to be part of the society here, or they want to benefit, like we came here, we all came here for a reason, right? We want to come to the greener pastures so we can have a better future for our kids and ourselves. That's why we came here, but we came using the right path. लेकिन कभी-कभी जब रास्ता नहीं होता है, I don't think it's a problem कि किसी से आप शादी करके यहाँ आओ. It's not a problem as far as you come the right way. Because लाइन में जो लोग बैठे हुए हैं, कितने लोग बैठे हुए हैं जो सही तरीका से आ रहे हैं, बट उनको देर हो रही है क्योंकि ऐसे लोग जो हैं वो इनको रास्ता.
I think the waiting period is about 12 months anyway.
Yeah. 12 months.
कभी-कभी लंबा हो जाता है because of the cases sometimes.
कोई रिपोर्ट कर दे से
it can take, because sometimes if the immigration is not satisfied, they can always delay it, and they don't have to just go through the criteria. They can always delay it. जैसे अभी आप किसी ने वीजा अप्लाई कर दिया है and they have all the points to come here, it's not necessary they will process it. It can sit in the pipeline for years. So you don't have actually the right to say I should get it in within this time or time frame.
Case by cases, I suppose, no?
Case by cases, and every case is dealt by different person in the immigration. Though the laws are the same, every case can be different.
But having said that, no, Gigi, the chances of marriage of convenience is getting difficult day by day. You know that it's getting very strict.
Yeah.
And it's getting hard.
And the difficulty is because of the loopholes. The more loopholes you make, the more the government will close.
Yeah.
The harder it becomes. You say there was one time people didn't have to do the English test to come here.
Oh.
Right? There was. Right? You didn't have to go through the English test to be able to come to
ये migration के लिए या convenience के लिए?
Migration के लिए.
नहीं किसी तरह ना. I mean even marriage is a migration as well. Either it's a convenience or it's a genuine marriage or immigration.
I don't think marriage of convenience you really have to have English.
शादी वगैरह कर रहे तो
ना, but if you're coming as a skilled migrant, as a skilled migrant,
as a student you have to.
Yes, a student you have to. Yes, definitely.
Skilled migration you have to.
Yes, but not through.
Not under marriage
of convenience. They say the other
marriage of convenience, not under marriage.
Yeah, you're right.
हाँ आप उसको बता तो सकते हैं ना this is convenience.
जैसे कल की बात, फ्राइडे के बाद है, फ्राइडे के बाद है. I actually personally met a person. तो जब मैं उसको भीतर ले गया, he was my patient. So मैं उनसे बातें करने लगा इंग्लिश में, तो he couldn't talk English. तो वो बोला मैं Persian, no English. तो मैंने सोचा ये यहाँ पर घूमने आया है. मैंने उसका देखा, उसका जो वॉच था very expensive watch. It looked very expensive. He had a lot of jewelry, and जब हम CT scan करते हैं तो we gonna take all the jewelry out. So he took his chain out and everything. One of the thickest gold chain I've ever seen.
and
no, just listen to the story. So उसका कपड़ा जो था very corporate, high looking guy, and I thought he was, he's probably a millionaire, ना? Just the look of him, but he didn't know English. So I was thinking कि English नहीं जानता है, he must be visiting. So I did his scan. He thanked me a lot. So he was Muslim, so I actually addressed him as I greeted him in Muslim language as well. So aur khushi ho gaya. He actually tried to give me a hug, and he said, "Thank you for the services. You've been very kind." He over actually reacted and thanked me. Then मैंने उससे पूछा, अब यहाँ पर विजिटर हो, क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर? तो उसने मुझे बताया, क्या बताया? उसने मुझे बताया कि मैं यहाँ पर asylum seeker हूँ.
अरे बाप रे.
Yeah, he told me that he came in the boat. So I did ask him, how did he get into the boat? Tell me something. This is the first and ever experience I have with someone who was asylum seeker. He looked so corporate person, like as if he's very rich. So he told me, he showed me photos actually. The boat he came in, where he entered the boat, how much money did he pay.
तो अभी ये जो सोने वाले पहन रहे हैं वो कहाँ से?
I didn't ask him all those things,
but it's all the money.
He probably had the money. He paid the money to come here, and then he lives in probably around Parramatta area or somewhere, and he lives in a good unit. He told me, but he doesn't know English. And I heard his story, and he told me the difficulties that he faces in his own country, and he couldn't talk much English. So he was saying that the government there, like but here he feels so secured. He feels so much of freedom for him, and he was over thankful. Like he was thanking me so many times. So मैंने सोचा, so what his intention is? जब मैंने उससे पूछा, he's actually looking for a girl.
शादी करने के लिए.
Because his intention is to probably stay here, right? And he wants to stay. And I'm not, according to his story, I don't think that he
has been granted.
Not granted. Yes.
So bridging visa.
Bridging, like see, they had this special class of visa, na?
Yes.
They can actually mix around in the community.
Yes.
No, they can also work actually.
They can work and they can mix around in the community.
He's in a situation like what we're talking about today. So he's looking for either वो किसी को शिकार करेगा, or genuinely he will fall in love with someone. I don't know.
If it's a fake, you don't know. No, it's very hard.
It's hard to say which is a fake and which is a genuine, because
it's very hard.
It's only the people who are actually trying to do the marriage. It's inside their heart.
Often they say conman की जो structure होती है ना, उसको अगर आप design करोगे, conman का design करोगे, you won't put him in plain. कुछ लोग होते हैं एक्स्ट्रा प्लेन होते हैं, कुछ लोग होते हैं द फुली लोडेड होते हैं. इफ यू नो व्हाट आई मीन. ये अपने जो दिखाते हैं ना, ये सब चीज किया है, लुक आई एम अ कॉर्पोरेट पर्सन, तो ये उनकी अंदरूनी कहानी है.
Sure. Or the other thing is he actually genuinely has a lot of money, and if he can somehow show the money, maybe someone can actually think.
पैसे वहाँ से आते होंगे तो asylum seekers के लिए बहुत मुश्किल है, क्योंकि क्या होता है कि गवर्नमेंट will actually track your funds. तो अगर सिमिलरली अगर उसके पास वहाँ पे इतने सारे पैसे हैं, तो वो किस तरह से इस देश में लाते हैं ये सब सामान लेने के लिए?
कैसे आया तो इलीगली आया.
वेस्टर्न यूनियन से लेके आएंगे तो फिर बैंक ट्रांसफर करेंगे, तो कानून तो ले लेगी इसको.
But I love watches. I look at people's watches. The first thing I look at, his watch is one of those watches I actually don't see. It's probably best than Omega's. Yeah, it was very expensive watch. तो मैंने उसको देखा तो मैंने सोचा कि ये तो कोई ambassador है, corporate person है यार. And then when he showed his photos, I really believed who he is.
Well, he must be ready with $50,000 to get married, guys.
Yeah.
Let's पकड़ो उसकी and शादी बनाओ. Well, it's interesting. It's interesting thought, and very interesting, and things like those do happen. But I think pyar ya PR is a good question, because let's once again we'll talk a little bit about Fiji. जहाँ से लोग शादी करके आते हैं, मेहनत करते हैं, गांव में जाते हैं, अरे वहाँ लड़की है, चलो देखो हम लड़की देखेंगे, उसकी शादी की बातचीत होती है. I was getting my hair cut a couple of months ago, and a guy saw me and he started chatting with me. कहाँ रहता आप, कौन ची, usual questions, and then the next question was, bang, are you single? I said, yeah, I'm single at the moment. शादी वगैरह कुछ नहीं? No, yes, मिल जाए तो राइट है, ठीक है ना. तो अच्छा नंबर दे लड़का बोले, जब तो नंबर है ना, local way they took my phone number. बोले लड़की है, बोले नर्स है, बोले शी इज गुड, बोले ना, एंड इफ यू वांट, बोले हम कुछ सकता करेंगे. बोले फेसबुक में हम, बोले ऑफ कोर्स आई एम फेसबुक. देन इन एन आवर्स टाइम शी एडेड मी ऑन फेसबुक. She added me on Facebook and said, hi, my brother, and gave me your name. And I was shocked, and I said straight away, how it works straight away, no?
Yes.
People try to, introduce you in such a way. कि किस तरह से?
वैसे this is जब से media platforms आ गया, जैसे Facebook, these things have become more common, because it's very hard to actually engage with people and start talking to them straight away. जब ये सब नहीं था, तो it was really difficult. Unless someone is actually going to Fiji, or someone is visiting Fiji, or someone is coming here, they take that back and forth. पहले ऐसे था कि लड़का के फोटो बोले ले जाओ ना, एक फोटो ले जाके एक फोटो दे देना, और लड़की का फोटो वहाँ से लेकर यहाँ आते हैं, तो दिखाते हैं, जोड़ा मिलाते हैं, बनाते हैं, तो यहाँ आपसे पूछते हैं कि क्या कर रहे हो,
लड़की पसंद है कि नहीं, बताओ देख के, खाली फोटो देख के बताओ.
हाँ, so things were happening differently, but अभी जैसे विश्व जी आपने बोला था कि इसका जो रफ्तार है वो बहुत जोर हो गया है, very fast, and the governments are taking measures, they are doing things to actually stop this. I think one of the things they're doing is the amount of fine they actually
imposing on if they find somebody. Yes,
and I think we should also talk about the very important thing is the effects of this and what people the victim goes through. I think that's a very critical point.
I think there's a positive side and a negative side if you do want to get involved into this thing. अगर आप genuinely इसमें कुछ करना चाहते हैं तो there are some measures. I think personally जो I can actually say और हम बता सकते हैं कि किस तरह से measures आप ले सकते हैं अगर आप genuinely किसी के साथ relationship में हैं और या तो फिर relationship कायम कर रहे हैं and then basically it is going to pursue into marriage. The thought process तो होगा ही ना, दिमाग में वो बैठा लेते हैं. So I think there's a pros and cons, and let's take a little break and we'll come back with some pros and cons. No?
Sure.
Let's take a little break.
To come across, or we want to make the future. We don't think about ourselves but about themselves only, because usually किसी तरह के marriages होता है उसमें.
You're talking about positives, ना?
Positives, yeah. So both people want to benefit, but कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है, I know for the fact कि मैं अगर किसी को लाऊंगा यहाँ उसका future बन जाएगा. I don't think much about what I'm losing. So I think in that sense क्या positives होता है कि किसी का life बन जाता है. If that's how
किसी
गरीब का जिंदगी मैंने बना दिया. Otherwise ऐसे होता है जैसे कि किसी का जो dreams होता है वो मर जाता है. और क्यों मर जाता है? क्योंकि उसके पास ड्रीम्स होता है, he is very inspired, everything is at a passion, but he doesn't have money. And that reminds me also of the charity thing that we were going to talk, but it's just the positives of the convenience of marriage. मैं बात कर रहा हूँ तो एक तरह से अगर देखे this is a positive, but I think it still has to go through the right channel though. I don't think doing it behind the laws of any government or immigration, I think it's still a crime, और इसका consequences बहुत भारी हो सकता है. So I think if I genuinely wanted to help someone, or anyone out there wants to help someone or feels they should help someone, then I think you should use the right approach, get to the authorities, put your intentions through, write to the authorities or talk, and there are ways to do it. So I think there's the only positives of things that I think you can make life. But as I said in the beginning, you have to go to the right channel. So आपने पूछा था कि is it true that you could do that? But as I said, you can't do something behind without following the laws and rules and regulations. So किसी का जिंदगी अगर बन जाता है, आप किसी की जिंदगी बना दिए, it's a big thing, without you actually benefiting from it. That's one thing. ऐसे से होता है. There are a lot of people in foreign countries, Australia है, America है, Canada है, who are actually helping people from places like India, Kenya, Asian countries, who actually go beyond their means. They actually take the risk of because they know if they have to go through the process, it takes a long way to go through. And what they do is they do this thing because there is a loophole, and they use that to help them actually. So I think the positives is that yes, किसी का life बन गया. Other than that, I think other than making the life, most of the things are negative consequences. It can be negative consequences if the motivation is not right.
What are your thoughts about the
I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, I totally agree with you, Ji, but I look at things at very different perspective. I mean, देखा जाए, when a person decides he wants to come, I mean, there's few reasons why people do marriage of convenience or this. They know that within normal channels they will never make it. That's one. They've got an agenda behind them. Why they want to come here? Agenda क्या होता है? Better life. better education, because most people, because the education system is so good, whereas the government gives you subsidies and like hacks and all that. I mean, that's a better than anywhere else, right? Or फिर अच्छा नौकरी, better standard of living. ये सब देखा जाए, then a person says, if I have to go through a normal channel, it will, I mean, शायद I'll never make it. You know?
I think marriage of convenience is basically right channel तो है ही नहीं ना.
No, बिल्कुल, it's not a right channel. But what I'm saying is, if people are so into this thing, saying, look, अगर ऐसा हो सकता है, I can pay someone, और मैं किसी से बोलता हूँ मुझे मदद कर दो ना, and that way मैं आपको बाद में कुछ पैसे दे दूंगा, I'll remember your thing whole of my life. तो ऐसा होता है. This is some of the, I mean, positives होता है ना, कि जैसे आपने कहा, it is to people's benefit ना. I mean, they get a lot out of this. If people decide, they can't come basically. Normal channel से तो अगर देखा जाए,
but जैसे वो आना चाहते हैं, he is actually fooling the other person.
That's right.
That's not right though.
No, अगर नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ, अगर वो आना चाहता है, he's open up front about this.
Yes, the other person, it should be declared to the other person.
That's right. अगर वो declare हो जाता है ना शुरू में, then the other person decides, चलो, I mean, what's there for me to lose, है ना? अगर कोई आना चाहता है, you want to make a living out of it.
Usually the person who is who's sponsoring, most of the time they'll look for a long-term relationship as well, because that's why they're doing. Unless there is a motive behind that. Yes, I just generally want to help this person. I don't want to have any relationship with this person. Yeah. That's a different scenario altogether. And people go ahead and do a marriage of convenience there, or a sham marriage, to help someone. But in cases, most of the time देखा जाता है कि usually the applicant जो होता है और जो उसके sponsor करता है, if he doesn't know about it, they go towards sponsoring someone, and then later on they found out it was all false. Then the effect of is the consequences is very, very bad. But एक और चीज़ में होता है ये परम अजीत जी, कि the other people are beaten as well. जैसे मैंने कहा था, जो people line में बैठे हुए हैं, जो right तरीका से आ रहे हैं, and people like me and you, we came here with all our legality, with all the things that we went through, right? अगर यहाँ पर कोई आ गया, so many people actually come here with that benefit, जिसे sham marriage करके आते हैं, they actually are burden to the government, and that's one of the reasons the government doesn't want them, because they become the burden of the government, they become the burden of the people, and they become burden on us, because we are paying tax. And the more such people are here, then our tax goes up. We are always engaged in working hard and hard, and we pay tax for other people who are generally not working and not doing anything, and they think that we can get some sort of subsidy, some sort of government funds that they can actually sit and do nothing. And there are a lot of people who come from overseas, and they don't want to do anything because they know that they can actually get money from the government. So इसका भी वो exploit करते हैं people that do it that way. For people like me or you, I personally feel that it's not doing anything good for us or the government.
I mean, देखा जाए, I mean, to some extent लोग ऐसा करते हैं. और अगर on the other side आप देखें कि जितने लोग, जैसे depends कि जो लोग आना चाहते हैं उनका motive क्या है ना. That's what I said. अगर जो मेहनती लोग होते हैं ना, they want to come for a purpose to be here, to have a better life, they'll come here, they'll work, they'll pay their taxes, they'll go to nice houses, they'll study. I know a lot of people in this situation where they have come in this sort of situation.
So do the both partners now then?
Yes, it's a mutual understanding.
I think what I would like to say is on this topic is that it's greed. I think we all are greedy.
We are all greedy, yes.
To a certain extent, कुछ लोग ज़्यादा है, कुछ लोग कम है. And I think marriage of convenience is a marriage of convenience. The word states itself कि नाजायज़ है, कि we are doing it for greed.
For greed.
तो आजकल I don't think I've met anybody that will do it for free. The days are gone when someone will do it for free. आजकल ये होगा, पैसे का ज़माना हो गया, because everybody, अगर कोई सिंगल है करने के लिए, तो लोग फालतू में अपना वक्त नहीं बर्बाद करेंगे, बोलो कि हमारा 1 साल 2 साल उसमें चला जाएगा. I can't pursue my other life with other person. Single persons की बात होती है. तो I think greed is a big question. And I think a lot of people that are targeted are people with hefty credit cards or hefty credit on their name, कि हम किस तरह से इस कर्ज से निकल सकते हैं। हाँ, ये तो मेरे पास ये बड़का मोगज है, उसमें हमें मोगज भरा जी, समथिंग, आई डोंट नो, आई थिंक दिस इज ग्रीड। एंड दैट इज व्हाई पीपल एंटर इनटू दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कि हाँ हम मैरिज ऑफ कन्वेंस करेंगे, चलो ये करेंगे, तो वो सही तरीका से सब चीज करेंगे, लेकिन वो फंसे रहेंगे वट एवर द टाइम इज एंड टाइम टेकन, तो इट इज इलीगल firstly, but secondly I think it's greed. उसके अलावा तो और कोई लोग करेंगे ही नहीं।
There's going to be a financial benefit for people.
जैसे आपने कहा, पर अगर monetary gains होता है, जैसे मैंने कहा था personal gains होता है, monetary gains होता है, economical gains होता है, political gains होता है, अब इसे आप जैसे देख लें monetary gains में, yes, people would try to actually engage with someone who has a lot of money, so they can get out of debt, or they can actually get out of something where they are not flourishing, and people have dreams and aspirations, and it comes to desire, तो they will actually try to hang on. अब जैसे हैं, तो कभी कभी हम देखते हैं टीवी में जो बहुत बूढ़े आदमी होते हैं, बहुत पैसा होता है, उसके पास बहुत यंग औरत होती है यार, 19-20-year-old girls, and what is the reason for it? Generally you reckon it's love?
No, it's all money and fame.
Very, very rarely, probably 1% or 0.1% probably generally, but otherwise it's to do with the wealth.
A lot of people actually go from here to Fiji looking for bride, apparently, and जो 40 के आसपास में है, divorced है, 40, 45, even 50, they go यहाँ से जाते हैं, देखते हैं, शादी इत्यादि करके लेके आते हैं, चाहे उससे बड़े हैं या उम्र में ही बहुत ही कम है। तो जो फिजी के जो गरीब लोग हैं, they don't see all these things ना, एज फैक्टर ज्यादा देखते नहीं है कि हाँ जिंदगी बन जाए, and those people are genuinely genuinely वो उस रिश्ते में रहना चाहते हैं। Similarly, I think other countries like Philippines and India से तो बहुत मुश्किल है, या तो फिर वो नहीं करेंगे, they won't enter into this sort of a system कि हम शादी करेंगे सिर्फ आने के लिए। I think females in India is more for genuine reasons ना, मेल की तो अलग बात होती है। तो people that go to Fiji they get married over there, genuinely लेकर वहाँ से आते हैं, गवर्नमेंट जब sees it कि हाँ चलो ये लोगों ने सही शादी फरमाया, लेकिन वो क्या करते हैं, तो प्रोसेस थोड़ा सा डिले करते हैं, क्योंकि फासला जो होता है, उम्र की फासले होती है ना, तो वो थोड़ा सा डिले कर देते हैं। या तो फिर आपके जो डिटेल्स वगैरह वो देखेंगे कि आप किस देश में ही है, आप किस कैटेगरी वीजा से आए हैं, तो वो डिले कर देते प्रोसेस ना। तो जो लोग अच्छे लोग हैं, जो सही है और सही माहौल में शादी किए हुए हैं, जनरली रिलेशनशिप कायम करना चाहते हैं, वो फंस जाते हैं। और रही बात जो परमानेंट अप्लाई करने वाले की, तो अलग चैनल होती है उनकी, अलग देखने वाला अलग कोई बैठा रहता है चेयर में कि चलो उसका जन्म, और मैरिज वाला का अलग सेक्शन होता है ना।
कुछ लोग जैसे फिजी में जैसे हम देखते हैं विधवा हो जाते हैं, उनके पास बच्चे होते हैं, they want to get future for the kids, और अब किसी यहाँ पर गया, किसी को एज नहीं देखते तो कर लेते हैं शादी। कभी कभी it works here, कभी कभी ऐसे होता है it doesn't work, so then they probably
I have actually been approached by, I mean, in a similar situation कि question इस तरह से पूछा गया कि the person knew I was single and the person also knew कि I was a filmmaker, I was a crazy filmmaker, music and this is all into my category. Sure. तो उसने मुझे ये फरमाया कि मैं इसी तरह का किसी को ढूंढ रहा हूँ जो इस कैटेगरी में है, because I like doing things like this, no? तो इस माहौल में अगर हम शादी करें तो क्यों शादी करें, क्योंकि बिकॉज उन्होंने फरमाया है कि she'll fit into my category. It's kind of dangerous, no? कि उसको हम लेके आएंगे, चलो she will like the films that I make, और ये करेंगी वो करेंगी, साथ रहेगी। That is not genuine. That is not genuine. वो प्यार है कि प्यार है।
He was trying to get you to that. जैसे कभी-कभी ऐसे हुए होता है कि जो यहाँ पर ओवरसीज में जो परिवार होते हैं,
अरेंज करते हैं,
they know someone in Fiji, जैसे कोई किसी का भाई है, किसी का बहन है, तो यहाँ पर उनके जो फ्रेंड होते हैं उनसे लाइन करते हैं कि just have a marriage of convenience, और फिर यहाँ आकर we'll go on our own ways. They actually do sometimes. I know of a person who actually did that in Fiji. He was in Fiji and his sister actually arranged a girl from here, Australian girl, to go and arrange a marriage. And as soon as he came to Australia, he wasn't educated or anything, he was working in a grocery shop, and when he came over, they divorced. So very similar situation. Yeah,
that's pre-arranged ना, तो it's a mutual understanding, ऐसा ही होता है ना, most of the marriage of convenience.
But again, अगर वो पकड़ा जाते हैं तो there would have been a big consequence. So I think anyone who is actually thinking of doing something like that, they have to think twice or even more than that, because इसका जो consequences है, it's very bad. एक दफा अगर पकड़ा गए तो फिर
जेल की बात है,
काम से गए।
Because there's a law, and चाहे आप कहीं से भी fulfill फुलफिल करने की कोशिश करेंगे. इट इज़ योर लक. अगर लक है तो यू गॉट इट. अगर लक नहीं है तो फिर आप फंसे रहोगे जिंदगी भर उसी लाइन में. यू वोंट गेट इट.
आप फंसे रहोगे. फिर the other thing is you are actually spoiling someone else's life as well, especially if the other person who's sponsoring you, who doesn't know you, or it doesn't know that you are actually faking, so you are putting someone else's life, the whole of their life at risk as well. फिर उसकी ज़िंदगी मारा जाती है. Whereas people think sometimes genuinely they want to do it because you are actually engaged or you want to engage in. So उसका भी consequences हमें सोचना चाहिए. अगर किसी व्यक्ति वहाँ पर सोचता है ऐसे करने को, you have to think twice before you.
I think हमारे जो गवर्नमेंट है उनको थोड़ा सा इस पे सख्त करनी चाहिए इसमें, क्योंकि जो सोशल साइट्स की मीडिया के जरिए से मिलते हैं और ये प्रूव करते हैं कि हमने ये लिखा वो लिखा, ये इस तरह से रिश्ते कायम किए हैं. I think government should be more conscious on this.
I think they are. I think they are actually. They're scrutinizing everything. They are actually making. They say एक चीज है, sharing photos is not genuine. You know,
कर सकते हैं ना.
these things are not genuine. They are not taken as something genuine now. You अगर आपको prove करना है कि you are actually getting into marriage, you must have met that person physically.
अच्छा.
Yeah, you have to meet that person physically.
अरे physically का एक बार ही मिला तो
ठीक है. You know, at least you are in the pipeline of proving, and then they will go through other processes of, you know, how did we meet.
I think कभी-कभी गवर्नमेंट lenient होते हैं. You see some of the things, you know, that's the job, देखा एक कैटेगरी कर दिया, अब कहाँ इसको करे, किस तरह से, they can't do detective work ना. तो पेपर में सब चीज फुलफिल किया हुआ है, चलो इसको हम ठोक के दे देते हैं.
देखिए ये बात है कि दुनिया का जो रूल्स है यहाँ पर, every case officer can think of the same scenario in a different ways, right? अभी से हम आप application लेकर गए जिमा के पास, और our application is almost the same, and dealt by two different people, we can have different consequences and different results as well. You know, it might take you 6 months to get it, I might take 3 months or a year to get it, and maybe one of us can get rejected. Even though we have the same qualification, we fill the form together, we have the same background, everything is same, we have got the same scale bending on our English test, everything. The results can be different.
Depends on the
twins को शादी करेंगे.
Depends on the officer, right?
Exactly. At the end of the day, it depends on the case officer. So when they go out and actually question people, they interview, there's a form that you have to fill where in Australia where you fill it independently, and they correlate it and match it, see how close it becomes. Those are the ways they use.
Psychological test.
A lot of psychological tests as well. So they are actually.
I mean, I don't know what they do these days in interviews, but I think personally, if I was in the convenience table, I would have said कि psychology test होनी चाहिए, because अलग पार्टीज की जो अलग से इसी थिंग है, कल आपने क्या खाया और कहाँ मिले, these are the obvious questions.
The obvious things, yeah.
तो जो psychological test होता है ना, then they can see कि
the brain waves and everything, that becomes very more complicated.
Then वो दूसरी तरह से वो कर सकते हैं कि नहीं, इसको हम टाल देते हैं अभी, you know, 12 months and see the process.
सीधा lie detectors लगा दो यार, so easy to prove something like that ना.
True.
You know, if people are faking, they'll just be caught.
वो भी कर सकते हैं, because आजकल ये सब, you know, problems हो रही है ना, दूसरे देश के लोग आ रहे हैं. I think lie detector लगाएंगे तो दिल से कि जेन्युइन नहीं है ना, पकड़े जाएंगे ना, वो पीपल करेंगे नहीं ना.
ये अब जैसे परम फिर
गवर्नमेंट पैसा नहीं बनाएगी ना.
वो एप्लीकेशन
फालतू में तो 40,000 कितने लेते वो 2,000 4,000 तो बना नहीं पाएंगे ना वो रिजेक्ट करने के लिए.
Exactly.
So these are all political events as well.
Exactly.
बिल्कुल. I mean that money making.
No, the government wants people to come here.
अरे लाइब्रेरी फीस से जब वो $1 million एक साल में वो आमदनी कमा सकते हैं, तो लाइब्रेरी फीस से मैं बात कर रहा हूँ कि $1 million सिडनी काउंसिल कर सकते हैं एक साल में. तो फर्ज कीजिएगा कि जब ये लोग मैरिज कन्वीनियंस में कितना 2,000 3,000 जो भी एप्लीकेशन फीस प्लस मेडिकल फीस इतने पकड़ के 5,000 पकड़ लो, तो कितने पैसे लगाते हैं?
Because medically you have to actually prove you're medically fit to actually fit in that criteria where you have that 9-month visa, or if you fail, then
repeat.
Repeat. Or you are gone, you know, you have to pass the medical test.
Medical नहीं pass किया, then you can't come.
No, you can't.
Medical नहीं, फिर surgical हो गया. Well, ladies and gentlemen, हम break लेते हैं छोटा सा. We'll come back into the process of marriage of convenience, और हम negativity के बारे में बातें करते हैं कि इसमें क्या बिल्कुल फायदा नहीं है जो लोग इसमें करना चाहते हैं. Hopefully we can give some tips कि, you know, अपने थॉट प्रोसेस दे सकते हैं कि इसमें क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. We'll try to help ना, जो लोग इसमें है फंसे हुए हैं, शायद निकलना चाहते हैं, तो वो भी रास्ता कोशिश करेंगे लोगों को बताने के लिए.
True.
I can't control my feelings. तो ये कहानी जो थोड़ा सा वीडियो हमने दिखाया है वो इट्स एक्चुअली अ फिल्म, बट आई थिंक जब when your visa gets rejected, you know, then you will be in a similar situation, you know. But हालांकि उनकी जो उम्र है थोड़ी सी अलग है. Because similarly a lot of Australians do go to Bali and थाईलैंड वगैरह जाकर शादी खास क्यों रहे हैं उसकी मार रहे शादी कर रहे हैं, तो you know.
They do. It's a big thing in Australia, I think.
Well, actually, sir, commenting on that, it's actually mostly it happens when Australians go to Philippines. में ज़्यादा ऐसा होता है, Manila.
Philippines का बहुत भारी population भी है.
Philippines में.
But a lot of people say कि वो आते हैं, वही ना PR या PR की बात होती है. But I have actually seen, met a lot of people, तो जितने Philippines की उम्र में थोड़ी सी उनके फासला है, फिर भी they're still together.
Yeah, they're happy as well. They're nice people.
They're genuinely together. शादी करते हैं.
That's what we are saying. There are some people who are genuine. जैसे हम हॉस्पिटल में काम करते हैं पेशेंट्स के साथ में, you see some old men, Australian men coming, but they have this young Filipino, and they have lived together for like 10-15 years or more even.
And they're happily married.
Yes, and they're very happy, and they do genuinely care for these people.
True.
They do everything for this the old guy who is not able to even put his clothes on.
क्योंकि वो बन गया ना, वो कहते हैं कि वो फिलीपींस जाओगे तो पैसे के लिए शादी करेंगे, but I think
it's wrong. इसीलिए ना we talking of marriage of convenience. Sometimes what happens, I mean, people do fall in love, you know what I'm saying, and then
love की तो अलग बात है, I think, but these people are generally, उन्होंने काम किया, हम शादी करेंगे, रहेंगे तो रहेंगे, वो निभाते हैं ना, निभाते किसी भी,
because they do see the extent of the other person's life, going and helping them so much. The gratitude and humbleness is there, because इंसान का moral values आ जाता है वहाँ पर ना, कि जैसे कभी हम सोचते हैं कि अरे हमसे काम निकाल के छोड़ देंगे ना, लेकिन कुछ लोग सोचते हैं कि नहीं यार, इसके साथ में हम जिएंगे मरेंगे, क्योंकि इसने हमारा जिंदगी बनाया है. Yes, those are people who are genuine. पर जैसे मैंने कहा कि ये लोग मारे जाते हैं क्योंकि जो लोग यहाँ पर जो भाव बिगाड़ देते हैं, बैकलाइन से बिगाड़ देते हैं, वो प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है ना. बिकॉज बहुत लोग बहुत गुस्से में हैं, गुस्से में इस तरह से कि जो लाइन में बैठे हैं, इनके कारण जो लोग हैं जो जेन्युइन है, तो उसके ऊपर बहुत गुस्सा लगता है ना, बिकॉज दे एक्चुअली डाइंग टू सी देयर फैमिली ऑफ समवन दे रियली लव सो मच, दे टॉक ऑन द फोन एवरी डे, दे कांट वेट टू बी विद देम, एंड दीस आर पीपल हु आर जेन्युइनली इन लव.
मैरिज जब वो फैमिली की मैरिज होती है वो
एग्जैक्टली है.
वेल, मैं तो यही कहूँगा भाई कि अगर आप इस देश में रहें, फिर सिटीजन ऑफ दिस यहीं कहीं खोजिए, कहीं ना शादी करने के ये सब चक्कर में पड़ने की कोई जरूरत नहीं पड़ती आपको. यू डोंट हैव टू गो टू द प्रोसेस. बट हाँ, जनरली इफ आई डू जनरली फॉल इन लव विद समवन बैक होम और कहीं किसी भी देश में, तो डेफिनेटली वो रास्ता हम जरूर जाएंगे करने के लिए, डेफिनेटली. बट आई थिंक इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन इन एनी टाइम फ्यूचर. सो
लेकिन पर हमें बात बताइए, अगर आप इफ यू फॉल इन लव विद अ गर्ल इन फिजी, you have all the rights to actually go and
of course I'll do ऊपर नीचे कर देंगे ना हम करने.
Yeah, but मैं कहता हूँ कि of course why won't you do it legally?
True, of course I will do it legally. Yes, of course.
Yeah, yes. You'll follow the legal path.
हाँ, legal path. But वही होता ना कि प्यार या PR की बात होती है कि यार generally love है या नहीं है. I think there's a thought process going into there ना. Lot of things needs to be weighed up कि हाँ ये सही है या गलत है, कि जो if you're going and waiting for someone for this so long period.
It's hard to determine because Fiji में लड़कियाँ बहुत होती है, उनके बॉयफ्रेंड वहाँ होता है यार.
This is what the story.
This is what the situation is ना.
Yeah, and they still say कि ना मैं शादी करूँगा तो बस इसके लड़का से करूँगा, लेकिन जब when you ask किसी जब जाकर पूछते हैं बोले हाँ मैं सिंगल हूँ ना, but they already are seeing someone. So वो जब वहाँ पर faithful नहीं, how would they be faithful here? It's a very simple logic to think about things. Sometimes they try to hide it, but if you are good at it, you can find it.
Cousin था ना, उससे बात कर रहा था.
Yeah.
And I think personally, when people want to get married, they should see, सामने रहे, सामने रिलेशनशिप रखें, so you can see the person and then decide and get married, no? And the only thing that will take you, अगर if you are genuinely wanting to get married to someone, यार आपको भूत चढ़ी हुई है, फिजी का लड़का है, फिजी की लड़की शादी करने के लिए, और नहीं मुझे इंडिया से लाना है, then it's a different story, you know. God help you on that category. कि you generally want to go
and spend some time, maybe go and spend some time.
Yeah, you have to
spend the time with the family. Try to assess things. There are ways to actually. हरी में तो जल्दी में सब काम गड़बड़ी होता है.
A friend of mine has got a similar situation. He wants to get married in someone from Fiji. तो Fiji background obviously, you know, parents like Fijian girl, you know, घर गृहस्थी वाली चाहिए उनको, ना, तो अगर आप जाओगे Fiji, he's done, he's been there, got married, court married वगैरह, and then बाद में ये पता चला कि she had a girlfriend, she had a boyfriend. तो अब क्या है ना, मैरिज डिसॉल्वमेंट करवाओ, बिकॉज पहले पेपर लगाना पड़ता है, फिर जाकर वो तारीख बनेगी कि ये दोनों ना.
It's good to declare a lot of things, even if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend. It's good to be upfront, because a lot of people don't mind if you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, because everyone has someone these days, right? And as far as, you know, you finish this relationship and you declare it from hand that now, you know, I'm with you, and you know that marriage, this relationship is not working. It's good to declare upfront, so that in the future, if someone finds it out, then it becomes an issue. Then that person would never trust you, and they'll always go behind checking things. ऐसे भी होता है. And I think जैसे हम कह रहे थे, the person who actually sponsors, when he actually finds out that this was faked through either friends or someone or the things that you do, then the impact that, you know, they have and the consequences of that, you know, the emotions and the things that they go through in life, it can be very, very traumatic, or you know, they can never actually get out of that in life. They will never genuinely want to help, and they'll always sit with it. A lot of people will sit with the problem because they think, why have I done something like that? They would want, personally, they would want to have a divorce, and divorce will then have a consequences, because if you start to have, or if you do happen and the girl or is pregnant, then you have a family, and that's like that marriage, you cannot never get out of it. Once you get married, never mind you divorce, you can't get out of it because you got a child now. So the thing is, then the impact, the psychological impact, the emotional impact, you know, the physical impact, all this actually is you know, tolerated by the person who is the victim. उसका जो असर है, it's very, very bad.
Well, I tell you, the plot of the film is actually totally different. Because what happens is, this is talking about marriage of convenience, that प्यार का मैं बता रहा हूँ, this is the story of it. But the other side of it is, the girls do have boyfriends sector into their own countries. But जब वो शादी करके यहाँ आती है, she genuinely falls in love after staying with this person. This film कहानी में
sure,
genuinely falls in love with the person who's actually had उसकी background study करने के बाद. But क्या होता है, she has a boyfriend, and the boyfriend actually comes overseas. So that is towards the end of the film कि अब क्या होगा. When she's changed,
and the boy doesn't, back at home, the boy doesn't.
वो कह रहे भी इसके divorce करके मैं शादी करी.
Oh, sure.
So what happens is, then वो वहाँ से हे हो करके वीजा लेके ऑस्ट्रेलिया आए, and hoping in the good cause कि you know, my girlfriend is still there, maybe वही प्यार है, you know, जबरदस्त, but she's actually changed now.
She changes,
so that is actually the plot of the film.
All right. कभी कोई ऐसा हो जाता है कि इत्तेफाक से the girl has that motive, जैसे आपका मूवी में है, and she still is very adamant कि वो वही करेगी, जो everything is strong, she's very strong. लेकिन ऐसा कुछ हादसा जिंदगी में कभी-कभी हो जाता है, something that actually, yes, something that changes the whole
situation.
And उससे उसका जो इरादा है, कितना भी मजबूत होता है, वो इरादा वो बदल देते हैं. You know, things happen like that as well.
सच्चाई की हमेशा जीत होती है ना, ये कहते हैं बुजुर्ग लोगों ने कहा है. I think that's honesty. So this is the basically story बता रहा हूँ फिल्म के.
Good film. Actually, it does have, there are a couple of films there, ना, the false marriage करते हैं ना, parents को दिखाने के लिए.
अच्छा, मेरा क्वेश्चन है यार, जैसे हम देखते हैं कि सोसाइटी में बहुत होता है, you know, फिजी में होता है, बहुत कंट्रीज में होता है, बहुत ही ट्रेडिशन कल्चर में भी होता है, कि जहाँ पर पेरेंट्स जो है वो अपने, यूजुअली लड़कियों के साथ होता है, लड़का के साथ नहीं, लड़की के साथ, they actually try to find a very rich family, a boy from a very rich family, and they try to engage a marriage, to have a marriage between the daughter and their son. और लड़की जो है वो शायद नहीं पढ़ी लिखी whatever. So the motive is actually subtly it's marriage of convenience. ठीक है. They also go to the process of doing it. What would you say? Is it a marriage of convenience? Because here there is a motive which is.
No, it's not a marriage.
It is an arranged marriage.
Okay.
It is an arranged marriage.
But इस बात पर.
But अगर देखे तो अगर उसको देखे it's motivated by money. So that's what I'm saying, because if you look at marriage of convenience, marriage is convenience is when you have a motivation, right? And the motivation is either for your benefit,
for each other's convenience,
in terms of monetary gains or personal gains, or political gains. So in a way, like the boy doesn't know this, right? Although the boy is happy to get married, but there is a motivation behind it, right? Say if this boy wasn't rich, would the family actually get married to this boy? No. So there is a motivation behind it.
Okay, this just one thing I'm saying. See, marriage of convenience, right? I'll just make. We're going to make this thing very clear. I mean, when there's marriage, I mean, when two people are getting married, if it's not a marriage of convenience, they know it's a genuine marriage. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. मान लिया जाए, I mean, I go out to marry someone. I know I'm going to marry that. I want to get married. I want to settle. The other person in the mind who am I marrying is got other intentions, right? Which you say it's marriage of convenience, right? We at that stage don't know if that is a marriage of convenience. Whereas as we define marriage of convenience, a marriage of convenience is an agreement. It's decided before the marriage. That is a marriage of convenience.
तो हाँ, ये अलग बात है, वो अलग बात है कि आप जो वो सवाल पूछ रहे थे ना कि इज इट अ मैरिज ऑफ कन्वीनियंस, कि वो जो कहानी ने बताई है कि इज इट अ मैरिज ऑफ कन्वीनियंस, एंड आई डोंट थिंक इट्स अ मैरिज ऑफ कन्वीनियंस. सिंपली इस पे ऑन दैट टॉपिक आई वुड लाइक टू अलार्म पीपल कि लॉट ऑफ पीपल डू गेट contracted into moral values. And I will smile and I will say again, there's another story which I've actually written similarly, hasn't taken place, but where moral values कि ये लड़का है, ये लड़की है, जाके हम लोग शादी करेगा, वहाँ लड़की देखेगा, लड़का देखेगा, हम लोग शादी करेगा, लड़का लड़की चुप, मैया बप्पा देखी से राजी है, ये लोग के हम लोग के आज्ञा पालन करेंगे पड़ी, राइट? सिमिलरली गर्ल्स के साथ ये होता है ना, obviously.
Because क्या होता है मैरिज कन्वीनियंस में जो है,
but I'll put a stop to you that by saying कि लड़का भी राजी है शादी करने के, लड़की भी राजी है शादी करने के लिए, बेस्ड ऑन मॉरल वैल्यूज, बिकॉज परवाल के या तो माई बाप के नाक ना कट जाए या तो मूंछ ना उड़ जाए. बट ये भी जान लेना बहुत ही जरूरी है कि sometimes they suppress their moral values and they go through the process. So the kahani of my film is that the guy is gay. Basically he's gay, but he goes through the moral values of his life because parents को दिखाने के लिए ये लोग शादी करते हैं. But when she comes back into the country, she's actually visa मिल गई उनको और she's entered the country and she find out that she's gay. That is another film की story. तो that is a marriage of convenience or not is a question as well. समझ गए? मॉरल वैल्यूज में लोग शादी करते हैं. तो आई थिंक हाईलाइट करनी चाहिए जो पेरेंट्स हैं जो ढूंढ रहे हैं अपने बच्चों के लिए लड़का या लड़की, ये सब चीज जान लेना बहुत ही जरूरी है क्योंकि मॉरल वैल्यूज में सब्जेक्ट जाते हैं ना कि मम्मी बोले लड़का अच्छा है देख लो, सब चीज फिट हो एक कैटेगरी में ना कि ये है वो है, बट देन
बिकॉज ऐसे भी होता है. पर मैरिज ऑफ कन्वीनियंस में जो पार्टीज होते हैं उसमें कभी 3 पार्टीज होते हैं, राइट? कभी 2 पार्टीज होते हैं, राइट? कभी देयर इज अ ग्रुप एज आई सेड. सो क्या होता है कि उसमें से कभी कभी एक पर्सन बेनिफिट करता है, कभी कभी दोनों पीपल बेनिफिट करते हैं बिकॉज यू स्टिल गोइंग थ्रू द प्रोसेस ऑफ नॉट डिक्लेयरिंग अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स एंड दे आर मेरी म्यूचुअल मैरिजेस. और फिर दूसरा थिंग होता है कि यू नो थर्ड पर्सन जैसे माता पिता बेनिफिट करते हैं बट द डॉटर डजंट वांट इट, right? But she only does it because of parents के जैसे आप करते हैं. तो एक रकम से देखे very fine line में someone wants to benefit out of their marriage. So that was my question, and if you've answered it, that's fine. Because I was thinking it's a very fine line between the two. अगर benefits देखा जाए, because someone is actually benefiting and someone is losing, but it's very subtle.
Well, guys, look, we're heading towards time. Let's get towards the negative sides of marriage of convenience. And I think the negative sides are कि the chances are that आप फंसे रहेंगे. You'll be spending a lot of time and effort, and because you've entered into that convenience of contract कि हम इसको वहाँ से लेके आएंगे similarly या उसको हम वीज़ा दिवाएंगे, you are liable for it. Because आप निकल नहीं सकते, झूठ तो बोल नहीं सकते कि हमने ये किया शादी, ये तो otherwise चार बार के पीछे I think that's the inconvenience. And similarly इस ये सब चीज़ में ये भी होती है कि the person could have a criminal record and obviously clean record हो सकता, or the person is psychologically affected कि जो मानसिक संतुलन बिल्कुल गड़बड़ है जो आपको पता नहीं है. These are the things I think ये सब को एंटर करने से पहले आपको सवाल पैसे तो नहीं आएंगे कटकटा, बट ये सब चीज जान लेना बहुत, because you don't know when you entering into convenience, when you're taking money, you're not asking question. आपको सिर्फ पैसे से जरूरत है, बट उसके दिमाग में क्या कल्चर है, क्या वो बॉयल कर रहे हैं, what is it? It's very dangerous.
फिर उसका जो legal consequences भी है, very bad. It's bad. So you gotta take that into account as well. और फिर बहुत लोग हैं, they change their names and everything as well, because अगर कोई के पास there are issues of background check होता है, जैसे कि criminal record है, they do actually change their names. I know a person who was actually from my village, and I met him in New Zealand.
नाम चेंज करके फिर
he actually had his brother's name. I saw it on his badge, and I thought, when it did it didn't, for at that moment it didn't click to me कि उसका जो भैया था उसका वही नाम था, but later on I actually figured out कि he is actually using his brother's passport.
Wow.
But
उन्हें birth certificate के जरिए से बनाया होगा ना, I
don't know, maybe how he did it. Fortunately or unfortunately, he's deported, but he lived in the country for probably 10 years.
वो फिर वापस आ जाएंगे ना अगर इस तरीके से कोशिश करेंगे.
I think it will be a bit hard for him, but that's what he did, man.
Wow.
Well, और आप लोग बताइए कि इसमें नेगेटिविटी क्या है, आपके दिमाग में क्या आता है नेगेटिविटी की बात जब होती है?
ऐसे इमोशनल स्ट्रेस होता है ना,
जैसे मैंने कहा कि the person who actually sponsors the hell lot of things that they go through, the effects of that, it can be very drastic. फिर दूसरा थिंग जैसे मैं कहता हूँ कि दोनों तरफ से अगर देखें कि लीगल implications बहुत भारी होता है, you end up in jail, your life is almost gone, you have wasted someone else's life, ये सब होता है. फिर अगर मेरे कॉन्वेंस से हो गया है, and then अगर it was अचानक से बच्चा आ गया, and then what happens is you decided you will separate, but then अब बच्चा आ गया तो फिर उसका परवरिश कौन करेगा, how you gonna manage those things. So कभी कभी marriage and convenience में people still live in the same house, but they still know that they don't have any emotional attachment. तो बच्चे के कारण रहते हैं, or they don't want to actually move houses, or they don't want to move furniture, so they get stuck in it. So उसका भी implications बहुत होता है, क्योंकि फिर आप बंधे रहते हो अपने लाइफ में, you can't go and do something, but अपना agreement होता है. तो इसमें जो लड़के हैं, जो बच्चे हैं, वो भी they can suffer as well. You can suffer, you can make the other person suffer. So negative consequences वैसे देखा जाए तो बहुत ढेर है. A person can end up actually committing suicide, they can kill another person, there's so many things can happen. So the majority of the things are negative. So agar koi, if someone is trying to go through this path, I think you should think twice. Don't go that path, because there are other ways, other avenues that you can actually adhere to and follow the right path, follow the rules and regulations of any country. That's the only true way to go ahead. Yeah.
Well, let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll wrap up with some more information on marriage of convenience. क्या आपको मैरिज करनी चाहिए, कन्वीनियंस करनी चाहिए या नहीं करनी चाहिए? आई थिंक पर्सनल थॉट्स हम उस पर कुछ देंगे, कुछ प्रकाश डालेंगे. एंड कितना लेता है? 50,000 लिख तुम?
नहीं आजकल 50,000 में there's no change.
50,000 will be his fine, man.
Fine.
So you got to take 100,000
to cover my fucking.
गाइस, गाना ने फरमाया है क्या कि हमने तुमको दिल ये दे दिया, पूछा नहीं ना?
बिल्कुल.
Similarly, I think जब when you fall in love with someone, दिल जब दे देते तो सवाल नहीं पूछते ना. I think that was the reason for that song out there.
हमेशा ऐसा ही होता है, पहले दिल देते हुए बाद में पूछते हैं ना,
फिर बिल देते हैं
divorce का.
Well guys, let's wrap up the show. It's been a wonderful course, and hopefully जो लोग इस प्रोग्राम को देख रहे हैं, डिलीट देख रहे हैं, please do subscribe on this side, there's a little button. And we're talking about marriage of convenience today, यार किस तरह से. तो quickly let's wrap up and give our thoughts कि क्या ये सही है या गलत है, अपनी तरफ से आप उधर से दे सकते हैं.
Well, looking at all the pointers, I think जिस टॉपिक को आज हमने लाया था, जो मुद्दा हमने छेड़ा था आज, आई थिंक अगर आप ऐसे रास्ते पे जाना चाहते हैं, इफ़ यू थिंकिंग ऑफ डूइंग समथिंग लाइक दैट, आप भी देखे हो पॉइंटर्स को, सब एक ही तरफ पॉइंट कर रही है, नेगेटिव से बहुत ढेर, तो ऐसे चीज़ से आप रिफ्रेन रहिए. अगर आपको किसी देश में हलना है, जाना है, डू इट इन द राइट वे, और सही इमिग्रेशन जो लॉज है उनको पालन कीजिए. अगर आपको किसी ने किसी तरह से ब्राइब देना भी चाहता है टू एक्चुअली डू समथिंग लाइक दैट, आई थिंक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि एक्चुअली रिपोर्ट दिस टू द अथॉरिटीज़, बिकॉज देयर आर सर्टेन वेबसाइट्स that you can actually find through the government agencies that you can actually report, you make complaints about a person. और क्या होता है कि कभी कभी अगर आप, जैसे हम देखते हैं कि बहुत लोग इसमें ऐसे फंस जाते हैं कि जब इफ़ यू एक्चुअली स्पॉन्सर समवन और किसी को आपने साइन किया है मैरिज ऑफ इनकन्वीनियंस में, क्या होता है कि आप अगर उसको बुला लिया यहाँ पर, ही कैन एक्चुअली यूज़ यू एंड डू थिंग्स अगेंस्ट यू. ऐसे कि वो कहेगा फिर आपसे कि यो फिर एक और करो, हमारे फैमिली के साथ करो, अगर नहीं करोगे तो मैं कोर्ट को बता दूंगा. सो आप क्या करोगे? यू आर इन अ डिलेमा कि आप सोचोगे कि मैं क्या करूं, या इसका फैमिली को बुलाऊं या नहीं बुलाऊं. अब तो बुलाना पड़ेगा. अब पॉइंटर्स एक और साइड हो गया है कि आपको बुलाना पड़ेगा. नहीं बुलाओगे तो वैसे यहाँ ऑस्ट्रेलियन गवर्नमेंट जो है उसका जो फाइन है आई थिंक $100,000 है, और आई थिंक 5 or 10 year imprisonment एज वेल है. आई थिंक उधर अमेरिका में है $250,000 विद 5 to 10 year imprisonment एज वेल. सो इसका जो नेगेटिव्स है, देखिए इतना भारी है, आपके पास जो पैसे नहीं है, जो आप अभी कमाया नहीं है, उसको भी आप गवा दोगे. तो
guys, we're leaving those guys who are listening on Radio Sana. We are actually switching off on Radio Sana, but they can still listen to us
on Fiji TV.
Fiji TV. So we're disconnecting there. RJ Vishna is going to take away with this program over there on the Yadav Ka Khazana. So we'll disconnect from there, and he's taking over for the program. So we are pursuing with your thought, Noji.
हाँ. तो मेरा ये कहना है कि जितने ही listeners out there, go and do some research, do find some more information that will actually help you to make decisions, because अभी भी बहुत लोग साइड डग में होंगे और सोचेंगे कि there is a way to do it, there are so many people doing it, but don't follow others. Don't take laws in your hand. Try to follow the right way. और इसका अगर इस स्मारक पे आप गए और अगर पकड़ा गए तो मैंने कहा था इसका जो consequences है बहुत bad है. So refrain from all these things and try to actually, if you know anyone who's doing this, if you think it is right that it's not right, you can always go and report to someone.
Why are you interfering in my business? तब क्या करेंगे?
No, you don't have to tell that person. You could actually go and open it, because I think if you think it's not right, and if you think that you want to be part of the government and help them, it's up to you. I'm not saying you got to do it, but if you know that someone is doing something wrong and you want to actually complain about it, there are ways to actually go ahead and do that. So आप जैसे सोचे, this is our information, this is our little information that we could actually deliver to you guys. Everyone has different thoughts, or sometimes it depends on आप कौन situation में हो. Decisions are made depending on what situation you are. If you are in a situation which is difficult and you think this is the only avenue to get out and do things, then whatever you do, just make sure you be careful.
So bottom line is yes or no?
No, definitely no.
Yeah.
And yours?
नहीं. I mean, definitely no. If the देखा जाए जो negatives है, there is a lot of things There are a lot of negatives compared to positive things. I mean, if you live in a country, just try and follow the rules, basically. Because when you take the citizenship, you take the pledge, basically, to look after the country, basically. And it's not a good thing, na?
फिर विश्वा जी एक और चीज़ में होता है कि जो मैरिज ऑफ कन्वीनियंस है वो you are actually breaching the laws of spirituality as well, because वो marriage जो actual marriage होता है वो marriage नहीं होता है, so you actually creating a sin as well. So why you go and do something which is against your moral values and your religion and the things that you're actually learning in your life? I think it's morally wrong as well. Just not the consequences of it.
I think moral values तो है wrong है. I mean there's a lot of pros and cons, but कभी-कभी ये होता है people are subject to all these moral values कि हाँ गरीब है, family है, मदद करनी चाहिए. जो अच्छे दिल के होते हैं कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं जो कर देते हैं कि चलो उसके हम मदद कर दें ना. I don't know if it's happening now. I mean certainly I wouldn't do it at this stage, but
why won't you do it?
I just wouldn't do it. Just wouldn't do it.
What is one of the reasons you wouldn't do it?
I wouldn't do it because I think I'm not going to spend my 2 years into waste my 2 years into all these things.
It's probably more than 2
or
years.
do you think is it the moral consequences or is the legal implication?
I think it's both. It's both.
It's both.
Yeah, it's both. It's both. I'm a soft-hearted person. That's why I'm saying कि हाँ कभी-कभी ये होता है कि you can do things like this, but then you think back and realize कि नहीं ये गलत है. कि ये रास्ता जो आप जाओगे उसमें कुछ नहीं मिलेगा आपको
जरूर.
So I mean greed comes into question again. कि हाँ कि पैसे की बात होती है.
अगर $500,000
no.
Because there's a right way of doing things. You can do the same things in a right way as well, but maybe it takes a longer. The channel is longer, but I think you can still do it. There's other ways to do it. अब एक बात और बोलो, चैरिटी के बारे में बोलना मत भाई.
हाँ, of course.
Yeah, okay.
So I think it's very important कि जो लोग इसमें कर रहे हैं, कि अच्छी तरह से सोचे कि कानून जो है वो कानून अपने हाथ में ना ले. अगर राइट रास्ता, जैसे कुछ लोग राइट रास्ता नहीं तो उल्टा रास्ता ट्राई करें ना. But I don't know personally because I don't have any luck into all these things, so I can't say. Certain things I don't have any luck in at all. So I know myself that there's no luck into things, so I would never do it. I have been offered 50 grand as well, so I know there's no luck into it for me.
विश्वा के बोल देता.
नहीं.
I think you reach a certain stage in life, you realize it's not important. If it was love, then it's not convenience. Obviously, then it's a genuine marriage. फिर उसी तरह हम लाइन में फंसे रहेंगे. So I think that's very important. And those who are planning to do it, किसी तरह का किसी को help करना चाहते हैं, तो find out all the facts and figures.
think twice before.
Because क्या होता है कि शायद वो सोच रहे होंगे कि चलो हम शादी कर ले अभी कन्वीनियंस से, फिर बाद में रिश्ता चेंज हो सकता है ना.
बहुत लोग कर लेते हैं फिर बहुत पछताते हैं. कुछ लोग कर देते हैं and then later on they openly actually come and say it or tell people, but it's probably too late. But I've seen there's one article I was reading actually. एक व्यक्ति है जो है actually openly came to seek for some help कि मैं क्या करूँ अब, because I'm in a situation that I can't get out. तो उनको तो इतने गाली मिली और लोगों से. They were not empathetic about all this because they were thinking, you have spoiled so many things, and why did you go and do this, and you should be punished for it. And I think if someone is going to do this, they should look into what they're going to go through, and I don't think that you would ever feel that someone is empathetic about this. People wouldn't like it personally if you have gone that path.
It's a wrong thing anyway. It's, morals are not right, isn't it?
No, I don't think it's right at all. So you got to think twice, yeah?
Yeah, bilkul. I mean, money is not everything.
And you can be on either side. You can be in either side and we have to think about it. There's the general effect on both sides. Not just as a sponsor, but as a person who is actually trying to enter the contract here.
Bilkul. You're right. Okay.
Well, we've come towards the end of our program, and guys, and it's been a wonderful journey, and hopefully we've made some sense to the topic today, and we've covered a lot regarding marriage of convenience, some laws that are in some certain countries. But once again, those who are genuinely affected, if you know someone who is genuine, help them out. कि वो जेन्युइन है, किस तरह आपको इफ यू हैव टू साइन समथिंग कि हाँ ये जेन्युइन है, तो प्लीज डू गो फॉरवर्ड एंड हेल्प देम ना, क्योंकि कुछ लोग फंस जाते हैं एंड आई हैव बीन अप्रोच्ड बाय पीपल बाय सेइंग कि यार हेल्प कर दो, इतना रोसी जनता है ना.
And I think if you're not careful, you can actually get into the trap. And it's very easily you can be lured by people. It's just the emotional side of it that can actually get into you.
Well, at the same thought, we would like to leave you, but before we leave you, we're going to talk about charity. And the charity which I wanted to talk to you was there's a charity group that you've actually got currently running, which is called?
The charity group that I've been running, it's called Ruby Star Kids.
Now, if you can bring some information next week regarding that, so we would like to pursue further with this, as I have actually spoken to you about it. कि what is Ruby Star, उसकी स्थापना कब हुई है, क्या कर रहे हैं, because I think at this stage, I think we are comfortable enough to start proceeding with that and take it somewhere further.
Sure.
And as far as charity is concerned, a lot of people make hospitals. A lot of people do things, but nobody is doing for the kids. I think the life has come to an end for the people that are dying. So investment उसमें तो it's not point. You need to invest into the new पीढ़ी जो आजकल आ रही है.
Sure,
new roots rather than the old roots. I think personal thought वो है मेरा.
Yeah, very
important. People have to die.
There is the foundation of Ruby Star Kids. Because of as we were growing as kids, and we had so many other kids in Fiji, who grew up with this, and they had big dreams like us.
True.
They all had big dreams, but their dreams have been buried just because for one reason they didn't have the finance.
काफी orphanages भी हैं Fiji.
Yeah.
Lots.
And I know, there are kids in Fiji who are academically very challenged.
Smart.
They are passionate about what they're doing. हाथ बत्ती में भी पढ़ते हैं, कहीं जी कहाँ रहते हैं. They are passionate about it. They're very bright. They do well, but unfortunately they don't have this support as funding for clothing, their bags, their school utensils, or school fees, or bus fare, or whatever it is, their personal expenses.
Why has
whatever.
the world changed so much कि हम लोगों को प्रूफ दिखानी है लोगों को कि हम लोग ये चैरिटी चला रहे हैं, क्योंकि क्या होता है कि चैरिटी जो लोग सही दिल से फरमा रहे हैं, यू डोंट नीड एनी पब्लिसिटी कि हम जनता के सामने आके दिखाएंगे कि हमने ये यहाँ डोनेट किया, वहाँ डोनेट किया, ये चैनल क्रिएट करते हैं.
It's fame, no? It is fame.
I don't know. I'm personally not like that. कि हाँ, दुनिया को दिखाओ कि हम लोग ये कर रहे हैं, but let the word, your work speak for itself. I think. I think this is the वही मार्ग पे हम ये चलना चाहते हैं with your Ruby. I think. जो आपने mention किया, and I think for kids I've been planning to do something for some stage, and somehow through donations and something we could set up and organize something. In due course,
तो कुछ बातें करेंगे अगर if you really want to talk about it next in our next program, we should actually get into it and talk about it. And I think it's very important that we get other people behind this charity, and we can do it as a group, which will be very nice actually.
और इसमें benefit ये है कि think back to your time if you have migrated, if you have been from a poor family, and I think it's time for you to flick back and see कि क्या कमी थी आपकी ज़िंदगी में एज बच्चा जो था, पेंसिल नहीं था, बुक्स नहीं थे, तो फिर शूज़ नहीं थे, बैग्स नहीं थे, कौन ला करिया बैग ला कौनटा वाला बैग नहीं, एयर पैसिफिक द ब्लू बैग नहीं था, एंड सैंडल्स नहीं थे वो आपके जो फिजी में मिलते हैं ना,
बाटा
खेडिस.
So there are a lot of things that kids do suffer, and I think there should be a forum set up such as a website example, and जहाँ पे लोग पोस्टिंग कर सकते हैं. हम लोगों को पोस्टिंग करने की जरूरत नहीं है कि हम लोग ये कर रहे हैं, वहाँ खुद ब खुद लोगों को जाकर करनी चाहिए कि हाँ ये हम ये हो रही है. समझ गए मैं क्या rather than हम अपनी साइड से पब्लिसिटी करके हम ये कर रहे हैं.
Exactly,
and I think that is the road I would like.
And I think we should then keep updated, what the charity will be, how we're going to source students, what we're going to do, what will be the criteria and all that, because I have personally gone to Fiji to find kids and actually find through schools to fund them, and I always wanted to do this.
I think personally, if you are doing for a good cause, you will have to be in it. You have to take time and do it, because क्या होता है कि किसी और को nominate करोगे तो
exactly, and then a lot of people out there who are fakers actually. So that's why I love to approach schools, because then you got access to the principal or the head teacher, you got access to the academic results of the kid, and then if possible, when we discuss it with the principal or the school, then you can also, if want, you can approach the parents as well, because they have to be involved in it somehow as well. So then you have a good background check as well, you know. So you do it very thoroughly, and as you said, to do it, you gotta be in it.
So we'll bring that next week, some information on, and I'm sure those people that are watching, those people who are subscribing to us, this is the process we would like to actually take, and we'd like audience support into that as well. Not millions of dollars, hopefully, you know, if you're donating some sort of the money, no?
Enough money just to get the thing rolling, no?
Get it rolling. So
बोले बूंद से घड़ा भरे ना.
बिल्कुल. I mean, if you do like donations, I mean, as the saying goes, now don't let your right hand see what your left hand is
काफी लोग
giving.
बोले यार वो डोनेट करता है पता नहीं लगे कहाँ जाए कौन सी पैसा ना. But the thing is, look, you know, checking in a can of a case of beer which is about 40-50 bucks a week. You know, अगर साल में दे दिया तो बोलनी नहीं चाहिए. हाँ, and I think strictly conditions होनी चाहिए कि if you donate, do not say कि you are donating.
Yeah, true.
कि हाँ हम ये कर रहे हैं, वो बोलनी नहीं चाहिए, because you are doing for a good cause, ना, दिल से करनी चाहिए कि हाँ हमने किया भूल जाइए.
And then the benefit that goes a long way, na?
Behind it.
And that's the most important thing. You know, sharing $1 is always important.
Yes. So, you know, if you think of it, if you keep $1 away every day, it's $352. It's half a ticket to Fiji. Or even that'll buy you a ticket, na?
365.
वो Fiji में वो बैंक निकालता था ना पहले, वो बैंक में पैसा
Piggy bank. National Australia Bank.
And that's very important to teach kids, no?
Yeah, very important, यार.
कि जो भी चवन्नी मिलती है वहीं डालो.
Yeah. वो हमारे बैंक स्कूल में INZ ला वो जो आता था ना, they used to come.
Savings bank आता था.
Yeah, we used to have like a bank card.
Sticker मिलता था.
To take 20-30 cents and, you know,
to put stickers in, I remember.
Oh yeah.
In my days, they used to put, you know, used to be a card. So if you bang 10 cents, they put a 10 cent sticker in there.
Oh yes. I remember.
This
I remember a blue book that we had.
We're talking about 30-35 years ago.
Yeah. ना मैं उतना दिन का नहीं.
As we finish the program here, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for watching us, episode number 62. And next week, Dr. Anil will be back with lots of pleasure and joy from his trip over there. And actually, he's busy next week, so don't forget there's a concert on next week.
Oh, Girmit Divas.
Girmit Divas, we're doing for a good cause he's doing, so we're going to support him next week. Weekend is singing and is performing as well, and we are also doing we're partaking.
We are part of it.
Yeah.
So we'll bring you lots of information next week. So next week की जो topic होगी वो हल्का होगा, उसमें हम charity के बारे में कुछ बातें करेंगे and some, you know, chits and bits.
Sure.
And that's it for us now then.
Yeah, goodbye everyone, and catch up next week, episode
Goodbye,
63.
See ya.